Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Away Day show. Our final show, I guess, before the season starts. So it's finally come around to the exciting stuff.
It's come around quick.
We've been very excited this episode, I think, for a few weeks. I think we've been talking about it a fair bit. We're finally here. It's the ladder predictions. We'll start with a bit of transfer news at the start of the show. Just a few things going around in the world right now. But boys, how are we right now?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Excited for the start of the season?
Well, Community Shield.
Yeah, coming out
Yes.
on
So
that's
Sunday.
tomorrow.
Sunday, 11 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
So we record this on Saturday before. We might as well reckon prediction for that Community Shield final.
Arsenal 3-1.
Arsenal 3-1.
Oh, we put him on the spot here. Oh,
I
you
think
go.
I've got Arsenal 2-1. I think City. I think we've agreed City don't really take it seriously enough.
And I feel like we will.
And it was a great start for Arsenal. Start season.
Well, it's
the right
like we're
foot,
playing
right?
for a trophy we didn't even earn our place in because we came second.
Yeah.
So.
So
Yeah.
But look, we tend to take Community Shield reasonably serious.
Yeah.
You know, we've beaten Chelsea in the past couple of times, and I'm gonna go 2-1.
yeah, I think 2-1's a rock. 'Cause I think City will bring one back, but I think
City will play a reasonably serious team, but you'll still see a few staples out. I reckon.
I feel like it's a bit of like on the beach of
I
stuff for
think you
City
just
still.
look at
Yeah.
last year, like Liverpool versus City. Like Liverpool weren't really a great team.
Yeah.
And they really brought it to them.
And it made
At the same
Nunes look
time,
incredible
though,
in that.
yeah.
He got so many touches.
It would be such like a Pep effect to be like, oh boys, you won the treble. We're gonna go out there and make it,
Yeah,
and
make it
win
quad.
this one as well.
Yeah,
Legit.
yeah.
I could see. I think it'd be a surprisingly good game considering it's still like a preseason.
Yeah, it's still a bit
Yeah.
rusty, right?
Charity match.
Yeah. No,
So
definitely.
but look, I'm going 2-1.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch because you're right. I think Arsenal will go for it.
We'll play full strength.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Arsenal
Players
will
will be out. So it'll be interesting to see who we line up top.
Yeah.
Is it Havertz? Is it Eddie? I guess.
Is it?
I think go.
Where's,
I think it definitely gonna
it'll
line
show
up
like
with
where's
Havertz.
like Balogun in the mix. You know, he
Yeah.
scored 20 goals in the league
Also in the
last
league
year.
last year. Yep.
He's valued around 50 mil according to like what we're
The
valuing
bids,
around.
yeah.
So I mean that's definitely more than what Eddie's worth. Like
100%.
Eddie looks like a 25, 30 mil player purely because he's young.
Yeah.
Look, he's
But
a bit
is he
of,
that young, Eddie? Is he like 24 now?
no, I think 23 maybe.
But don't get me
like
wrong.
purely
Yeah,
because
okay.
I feel
yeah.
like Eddie's a player. It's like in all those big championship winning teams, you always have that one player that's that like the Chicharito at Man
Like
United.
the Origi at
the
Liverpool.
Origis at Liverpool that literally are there to play their role, and it's underrated how important they are. So
They'll come on and
I feel like it doesn't matter what value is, you sort of have to keep it. Like he scored some big goals.
Well, that was a bit like what
Yeah.
it looked like last year at one
When
point.
he
Reece
scored two
Nelson.
against-
And what about Reece
Yeah.
Nelson?
Reece Nelson, yeah, definitely. But even like when Eddie scored 2 against
Yeah,
you guys,
yeah,
like to win the game, that
that's
little
serious.
flick, if we went on to win the league, for example, last year, he would be remembered, for example, for that little flick.
because that was an important time of season, right? And
So yeah, look, it's interesting. I think we'll play Havertz up top,
yeah, I think you have to. He's
but
big
in like a
signing.
pretty fluid team because we have so many goals in our
Well, the
Who's
wingers.
going to be in
so-
your midfield? So you're going to play
Decky
Jorginho
Odegaard
Rice
and
and Odegaard.
I
Do you
like
rate
that
Jorginho playing?
I think Jorginho can play that role really well. Because I think what it means is that Jorginho, I think, is like reasonably capable of playing as deep. You know, he can take the ball out, but it also means that if Decky Rice wants to push forward,
he can sit in with him.
he
Yeah,
can drop
they
back.
They can do a bit of a alternate role.
Yeah.
Like,
The only problem
Just one stay
with
back every
Jorginho
time.
against City, I think, is that City is the one team I'd be a little bit scared of him playing in that, one, they're really quick on the counter, and two, it's just like Jorginho is really good when I know we're going to have a lot of possession.
I was gonna say, yeah, when you
Whereas
have the
City
ball-
is like, that's probably good, like that'll probably be the one game of the year.
I was gonna say the only game
where we
you guys don't
more
have possession.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, of all the games, it's probably not the best for him, but I'm still, I mean, Party, I don't know what's happening.
Party's
with
still at
Party
the
moment.
club. Like
Yeah, I don't know what's
he's
happening with
still
Party at the
there.
moment, but
It'll be interesting.
but he won't play.
he won't play. It'll be Jorginho.
They're like the two best midfielders in the league at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. If City go full strength in their mid with like the Gundogan.
I would say it's
De Bruyne
Do you think this
Yeah,
is
both
a
teams.
fit that Havertz would be playing with Odegaard in the midfield?
No, I don't think Havertz would be playing. Starting.
I feel like
I don't think Havertz would be
He's
starting.
there for a rotational forward. But no, it's
Not
easy.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
tomorrow.
It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. We'll go to the transfers. I guess the biggest one out the week is Ousmane Dembele release clause has been activated. So £50 million now moving over to PSG to join Neymar, I guess, in that new front three. Like, I don't know how it's going to shape up. I'm assuming Mbappe down the middle, Neymar on the left, Dembele on the right.
Yep.
But then I guess what I was thinking when I saw this, Neymar's always out for 2 months a year. Dembele is in injuries.
What, mate, what, 2 months?
History.
But it's Neymar and Mbappe. Like, we know what's happening with Mbappe, which we think he looks like he's going to leave.
Yeah.
But does anyone know what's happening with Neymar? Neymar's no guarantee to be there.
I think
either way.
Neymar's quiet, but I think you can't sell all three. Imagine if Mbappe
No,
goes
you're
home,
right.
all
I
three.
think
Right.
I think Neymar's probably the most content with just staying and getting away.
He's still getting the bag anyway, so
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very... I'd say, like, if you were Barcelona and anyone that really supports the game of football, like, you can't really say what Dembele's done is really good, how, like, Barcelona have treated him, to be honest.
Yeah. But I think the bodies hasn't held him up as well. Like he last year got a good run and got injured again.
Yeah, I think to be honest, like Dembele has played reasonably well when he's been
on the pitch.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with him saying, exploring the options and trying to get the.
I think how Barcelona treated him when he was injured and stuff, and like
the fact but that's how you should treat a player.
Yeah, but a lot of teams don't.
Yeah, it's the thing. Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like,
and it was a bit like, from my understanding, a bit of like they thought he was in his plans. Like, even if you go listen to what like Xavi was saying, and now it's like, oh, all of a sudden we have to go buy a right winger. Like,
it is screw the team.
They got Rafinha there.
Yeah, they got Rafinha.
Like, yeah, but like it sounds like they're gonna go try and quickly snatch Bernardo Silva now.
Yeah, that's
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean,
obviously it was a bit. Obviously it was a bit like.
Bit out of the blue, right?
Yeah, bit out of the blue.
He's on tour with them. He was playing with them a few weeks ago.
So he was he started that game against Real. Like, I don't think he would have done that if they thought there was transfer. Like, if they thought he was going to leave. Yeah,
I agree.
So I think
it's shocking.
From how Barca treated him, if he wanted to leave, at least he could have made him aware at the start of the window.
Because it's now put him in a rut. Because when the season starts, teams don't want to resell.
Pep's theory. Pep would have been happy to get Bernardo Silva go.
Yeah,
but it's very likely now Pep goes, too late. Yeah. We would have wanted to bring a replacement in.
Yeah.
Now Bernardo leaves. We're not gonna. We're not gonna let that happen.
Pep's smart.
You've got the Super Cup. You got the Community Shield. As you said, he's a winner. He wants to win. Those two matches are within 2 weeks of each other.
City have brought in no forwards.
They're not
going to let
Bernardo sell.
Bernardo's not leaving.
Yeah. So we got him moving to PSG as well, and then I guess the hint that Mbappe might be going. Gonzalo Ramos is rumoured to be going there as well for a similar sort of fee, the Benfica striker as well. So we could have a case for a whole new a relatively new front three at PSG.
Yeah.
How it's shaping up looks a bit of a backward step from the superstars that we've had in the last few years.
I disagree though. I think it's the step they needed to take.
On the surface level, because it's like, oh, you got the 3 best players in the world. But then it's also like,
for continuity of the team,
yeah,
I think
the biggest problem with PSG has always been that, there's too many personalities.
We talked about a few massive egos, yeah.
And no coach has ever been able to handle that. So it's like, look, I think Dembele goes there with a big ego, right? But he's not Messi.
No.
Right?
His ego wouldn't be any bigger than like a Sadio Mane, for example. There's not a huge ego there.
I don't know about that. I think Mane is a bad example because I think Mane,
you're saying
Mane sounds like
he sounds like
a down-to-earth guy.
But it's in like it's just not the point. It's not Messi. It's not Messi.
So your top 20 players in the world are going. You know,
yeah. So it's like ideally like there's some incentive there in the contract for him to perform well, and things like that where it's like. Maybe it makes PSG a little bit more stable in the dressing room, and it makes it easier for the coach to handle it, and they can actually start implementing a game plan.
Yes,
instead of like just get to Messi or Mbappe and Neymar and see what happens. Like because that's what it sort of felt like in the past. Like those three, would never track back.
They brought in a few other good players. They brought in Skriniar
at centre half.
Who's the midfielder? They brought
in Vitinha as well. Was he last year with Vitinha?
Last year. They brought in a good midfielder. I'm just now trying to remember who it is.
Marco Asensio came across as well as a right wing.
And they brought in Lucas Hernandez and Skriniar, so 2 centre backs.
True.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're doing with Kimpembe. But maybe Marquinhos is going to go back to how he played a couple of years ago, playing a DM.
Yeah, or we can play a 3 at the back there with Marquinhos, Skriniar, and then like a Hernandez is more versatile player.
They still got. What's it called?
Kimpembe.
No, not Kimpembe. They still got Hakimi and.
He's a right wing back.
And they got Nuno Mensch.
Yeah.
But so maybe would play 3 in the back because Hakimi and Nuno
Mensch.
Yeah, and then maybe up top they might play like Dembele and
Ramos. Too. Yeah.
And maybe like an Asensio, Neymar's a 10. Neymar's a 10, Asensio's a 10. And they'll switch around those people.
Enrique's
an
experienced manager that would know how to get the best out of these sort of players. Like, I know he got carried by Barca, people say, but he's not tactically inept. He can do a good job with his team. I think he's one of the top 10 managers in the world at the current point in time.
You can tell the type of players he's brought in, though. Like, he's brought in those
system players, right?
They're also shipping a lot of players out. I saw like their transfer list, like listed players. Like, there's a lot of players who are just not getting back.
It looks like they're trying to, Luis Enrique's trying to play like he's like a kind of like he did at Barca to a degree, playing more that Spanish football.
Yeah, possession.
Enrique won't play 3 in the back.
I feel like that's a viable option if you got that many quality, because you put Skriniar in the middle of two
You're probably
mobile
right.
centre
I
backs.
don't know
Right?
if Nuno Mendes
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
He
Enrique's
didn't
not
look like
much
he
further
lit
back.
the world on fire. So it probably might be something as simple as like a Kimpembe and Skriniar at the back.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hernandez can play left back.
Hernandez plays left back.
Hernandez can play left back.
Roll him out to left
He
back.
played
Yeah.
left back for Bayern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
At
options are there,
times,
but I
at
think
times.
it's a different view for PSG, a different way of outlook, and I'm excited to see how it goes because in previous years it's just a quarterfinal knockout every in the Champions League, and that's about it, right?
PSG is just like, yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Like,
strange.
they're just like being around there, but it never feels like they've clicked enough to like be competitive at the top
Yeah.
level. And yeah, I think they've given it a crack by just like splashing money on like the best players in the world.
Yeah.
But that's just showing that it's just not going to work, and you need like actual tactics, and you need
Squad,
like
a team.
you need a team mindset within the group. So. Look, I think it looks like they're sort of slowly transitioning away from that model and trying to build a more like team environment where they play from like the ground up and build up, like progress on the pitch. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go over the next few years, maybe, especially if Mbappe leaves. But there's definitely a start this window.
I think their team. If you actually look at it, like getting rid of those stars, it's still a very good
Strong
team.
team.
Yeah, the team's really good.
Like, I actually reckon with the players they've brought in, they've probably got less holes. Obviously, I don't have now any superstars, but in terms of
Well, they've
like,
still got Messi and they've still got Neymar and Mbappe.
Yeah, technically on the list.
yeah, but I don't know if they're bringing in Ramos. I can't see them keeping Mbappe.
Yeah, no, Mbappe looks like he's going to. Look, if
If
it's not
leaving-
now, then it's in a year's time.
Yeah, but
and it's like-
Mbappe's they won't bring in Ramos if
If
Mbappe
Mbappe-
doesn't leave.
Yeah.
yeah.
And because how does Ramos even start with Dembele coming
Doesn't
in?
really work.
Neymar.
Asensio's out there on the right as
Yeah.
well. Well, it's funny we talk about squads and shipping a few out. We've got Chelsea to talk about again. Sanchez, Robert Sanchez from Brighton. Again, you've been on like the Raya Sanchez, pick one of them up sort of idea. Obviously, Raya's been linked with Arsenal this week. That's a separate story.
interesting.
But Sanchez, I think this is a steal. 25 million.
Sounds
for
like he'll
Chelsea.
be back up.
It's interesting though because I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on this. So with the whole Kepa, Mendy, like it never felt like any of them were like a number one. I think Mendy had that one
Yeah.
season where they won the Champions League that was very solid, but they never felt like one of them was a number one.
Mendy fell off like insanely hard.
But Robert Sanchez gives me that.
Yeah, but Sanchez
it gives me
isn't
more
starting
number
at
one.
Brighton.
I think there's a big problem there
Like-
because, in my opinion, even if Sanchez is going to be number two, he's not a real number two. Like Kepa makes a mistake, they'll probably.
Yeah, but neither of them are number twos.
As I'm saying,
Okay, I
whereas-
think there's a big problem here, and Preston will agree with me here because he's seen it. I look back and I look at that year at United with De Gea and Henderson,
didn't work.
when neither of them were really given the number one. One of them would make a mistake, the next one would come in. And it happened about 3 or 4 times, and there was no continuity at all. It's terrible. You got to have as a goalkeeper. Not that I am a goalkeeper.
No, as a
but
te- as a
but you've got to
team-
have a consistency. If he makes a
Yeah.
mistake, he's still can. Obviously, if he makes 3-4 mistakes,
It makes sense.
you switch it.
But you look like the Ben Foster
You know what I'm coming
podcast.
at?
He was talking about it with Melia last year for Leeds, where the poor guy just couldn't get it right, and there was so much pressure on him. So sometimes you need that chance to have a break.
Yeah.
But he said, but when you got the second keeper coming in, like Robles coming in, and you're going back in the team, it's so hard to get that same sort of continuity. So you're right in that sense. But I think Kepa's been great, and don't get me wrong, his
But put
feet.
him as
are
your
the-
number
but-
two.
Kepa,
But I think Sanchez is a better option number one going forward for Chelsea. I feel like he's got a bit more about him. Than
I don't know how old Robert Sanchez is because I know Kepa's still young.
I'm just
But-
very wary about it.
But look, if I was
understand where you're coming
if
from.
I was Kepa, I would be like very nervous in the sense that I think so. New manager, I'm telling you, new manager. So Robert Sanchez is only 25. He's
Yeah,
only
so-
25.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he's
they're both
young. I
young.
didn't realize how young he was.
Yeah.
New managers love to come in and stamp their authority on the team and like stamp their imprint.
changes,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, the keeper is the most vital part in
Yep.
that. Like it's because usually it's the first name on the team sheet. You look at Pep's Man City. You look at clubs.
Mikel as well, moving Leno
Mikel.
on.
I mean, it would be strange to see Raya come in and become the number one because
Yeah.
you would have thought of Ramsdale. But you look at the teams that have done it before. You know,
100%.
Liverpool, Klopp. So you got your Alisson, your Edison, like teams. You know when Lampard took over, I think was Lampard Kepa came in.
Yes, no, it was.
It's like, new keeper came in with Lampard. So, like, coaches love to imprint their name on the
Such a
team.
vital spot as
And
well.
the keeper is the
Yeah.
first name on the team sheet
Yeah.
every week. So, if I was keeper, I'd be nervous in that sense. It's like,
100%.
okay, you're going out and getting a different style keeper to me.
Yeah.
Sanchez is decent with his feet, but he's
Better
he's
shot
he's
stopper.
good
Yeah.
with his hands. And that's why Jason Steele kind of got the nod later in the season because
Yeah.
it was like, he's just better with his feet.
Yeah.
So, And you look at Lloris. Lloris was never good with his feet.
Oh no, it's nothing good
So
at all.
it's like Maurizio clearly doesn't really care how good.
Yeah, they're not as much in
it's
possession like Brian will be.
It's like a more fast pace, like counter-attacking.
Wingers, Son,
Yeah.
Kane.
Whereas they're not really trying to build it from the back, and they don't need crazy ball players from the keeper. So it's like I would be nervous in that sense if I was Kepa, but at the same time, I think Kepa gets a lot of like slack. Gets hammered a lot from his first year at Chelsea, and he's just like Kepa's drawbacks are like long shots. He's pretty slow to react and can't get down to those like corner shots and stuff like that. But I thought last year was actually pretty good when he came
back half of the year when they started.
So it's like I think I'd be pretty stiff if I was Kepa to get dropped. But at the same time, I think I would be nervous because like you bring in another like his Spanish teammate, different style of keeper, which is the scary part because it's
polar opposites almost, not polar.
Usually you want to sign a backup keeper who can just sort of replicate to a lesser extent what your main keeper does.
Yeah.
But they're different styles of keeper. He's better with his hands, Robert Sanchez, and there's a new manager coming in, and it's like the only position they haven't really signed a new player for. So it's like it's a little bit scary.
I feel like you hit the nail on the head there. I like how it sort of lines up with the whole Lloris sort of idea where like I think Robert Sanchez is more of a shot stopper. He's more of like Poch's type of keeper. And Brian and De Zerbi, you saw in the summer series as a clip where they literally play out from the back in like triangles and they work it forward. Poch's teams are different, right? You had the Sons, the Lucases that were on the flanks, and you get the wingers bombing on. It's not as much, possession in midfield. Chelsea might need to adapt to that because you got Enzo and the like, and these midfield ball holders and carriers, which probably need to have the ball at their feet. The Chukwuemekers who were really strong with the ball at their feet. Maybe Poch has to change it a little bit, but if Poch's mentality in the team that looks like he's building, it is going to be more of a shot-stopping keeper and play fast pace down the flanks. So maybe then Sanchez is
He's also good in one-on-ones.
Yes, makes some big
so
saves.
It's like, you speak of that, if they're going to commit forward and they're going to get found out at the back, then it's like,
you need someone to make that big save.
That's why Alisson is so good in the Liverpool team because there's so many one-on-ones and he's so good in one-on-ones. So it's like, and I also can't believe how young Robert Sanchez is. So I think that's kind of concerning in the sense that they're buying a young keeper who's a different style of keeper.
Yeah.
And it's a new manager. So it's kind of like, maybe this is the change of period and this is like
I guess my question to you guys, who starts match week 1 then?
Robert Sanchez.
Well, he hasn't even gone yet, so I'm going to say Kepa.
Yeah.
But if he does go, I wouldn't be surprised to see Sanchez in the team in within a month's time.
Definitely,
yeah. But I think Kepa starts
if the
next
deal
week.
gets done, Robert Sanchez will say.
I'm
just a bit, going back to my point before, I just hope whoever gets the nod, they will make one mistake and they don't get.
No, 100% they won't do that. They'll definitely persevere.
They'll
persevere. I promise you they'll persevere.
Why they won't though? Because you've got, let's say they put Kepa in goal. You got Robert Sanchez after Kepa makes some mistakes knocking on the door. Look.
No, but I think it's different with, I think if Mauricio Pochettino comes out and says Kepa's my number one, then he'll persevere with him. Yeah. I think if he doesn't come out and say that, or he doesn't fully back him from the start, and Sanchez is right there, I think it might only take one mistake to get to justify.
But do advice like it could happen again. It could just be an ongoing cycle.
But see what I'm saying is I think if Sanchez comes in, I think if Kepa gets, they're going to look for an excuse to drop Kepa, right? Because you can't just drop him if he does nothing wrong. You just can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like coaches rarely do that. So I think it's more so as in Kepa's fighting for his spot, whereas Sanchez, Kepa's fighting to keep his spot, whereas Sanchez is kind of like, Sanchez is going to be given the spot because, that's just
he's the signing.
Poch wants.
I think to finish up on this, the final thing on your point there, Tots, when you look back at the managers, Pochettino has a bit more about him. He has a bit more superiority, authority.
Yeah.
Ole, at that point in time, it was a weird point in time where United were better than they probably should have been. And Ole was a bit, I think, out of his depth. So he was swinging back and forth because he had Henderson, he had a great season before. Whereas Poch, he commands, he's been at PSG, he's been a Champions League final for Tottenham. He demands, respect. So if he says, Kepa, you're my keeper, I doubt he'll be wishy-washy with Robert Sanchez.
That's fine then, as long as that happens, I'm just saying.
But I understand where you come from. It is hard as a keeper.
I would think after the first change especially, because I think there will be a first change. I think if Sanchez comes in
the first
he won't
month.
start. I think Kepa starts. Yeah. And I think Sanchez might come in. And I think there might be one change initially. But I think after that, like that swap,
you've got to stay.
When Sanchez comes to number one, I think that'll
that's the future for Chelsea.
But it's just last thing. It is interesting because I have seen from all reports, it sounds like they're signing him as the second. If you deeper, I just don't think that's the case. I just don't think that's the case.
We'll move on to one bit more Premier League news. Livramento seems to be moving from Southampton to Newcastle. Southampton played last night, the championship. He wasn't to be seen in the squad at all. So, big sign of Newcastle. I think it's a natural progression. Again, it's not the big Mbappe's of the world or the, I guess, for right back equivalent. It's not the Hakimis, but it's I think a logical development. You know, really had an injury affected season the year before, but really strong right back. Like it could be a great option for them. I guess Trippier is the lead of the team right now, but a great backup. And I was saying off earlier, maybe you could chuck into left back at times to fill in if Dan Burn's injured or underdone.
I think Trippier is probably the more versatile.
Yeah,
of the two.
Across,
like we've seen in for England.
Yeah.
Trippier has played left back before.
Side,
So it's like if they're going to be going for a more, I mean, clearly if they play Trippier and Livramento instead of Dan Burn and Trippier, it's like they're clearly trying to be more expansive because Dan Burn is a really, really like good team player, squad player, but he's definitely not as good going forward as Livramento.
Doesn't bomb on
whereas he's probably more solid and more defensively minded than Livramento. You know, he's like 6'5", whatever he is.
The height is
a
big,
massive aerial threat. Yeah. But Dan Burn is pretty versatile as well, so he can play across. He can play across the back four. So he's a great like squad player.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of showed the ambition for Newcastle to become even like a more attacking minded team. You know, less because they're obviously so solid defensively last year.
Yes,
they're clearly going to try and back that. I mean, they've got Tonali in now, so who will sit deeper, which will allow Bruno Guimaraes to play a little bit further forward.
Up,
So maybe they're going to try and play that higher fullback team where Tonali tucks in.
Yeah, and
as
helps
as sort of like 2 or 3. Helps to come like more of a 3.
Yeah,
or Trippier sort of tucks in a bit. Livramento bombs on. So. Yeah, I think it kind of shows that they're maybe trying to become more fluid in the way they can play and more versatile in the way they can play.
And I think another thing, it's another young talent Newcastle adding. Tonali's a young talent. Livramento's a young talent. They're building a team that's not just going to try, like the PSG, not going to just try and put it all together now. This team's going to grow and develop over time. And Livramento, Premier League proven in a way, he played for Southampton last year, stood out a lot in Southampton. I think him and Bazuni were probably the two for me that stood out a lot. So it's a logical progression. What's your thoughts, guys? Thoughts on the Livramento move for them?
Oh, I think it's definitely a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means for like Newcastle this season.
Yeah,
probably not much.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the future, it's definitely a move that looks promising. Like whether Livramento is going to play on the right or, as you mentioned previously, maybe he could play left back, fill in for Dan Burn, play a bit inverted. But it doesn't really matter. Even if it's something like he's just a backup option.
Yeah,
like Trippier's what now? He'd be in his 30s.
I'll check it, but he'd be
Trippier's getting on.
Getting on. Like, obviously, maybe even just as a backup for Trippier. Like, you don't know what they do. Sometimes they might even play Newcastle back 5, play Trippier as the right-sided centre-back. Livramento loves to bomb on.
He can bomb on as a right wing back.
He can play as the right wing back. There's a few different things they might try. Like, Livramento's not going to be an instant starter. No way.
100%.
But, there's a few things, like, in different games. Like, maybe when they verse City, they might want to try something different. Play a 5-back or something... like completely different, like you don't know.
It allows versatility, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think we're saying now with all the Prem teams, you need defenders that can go across all 4 or all 5 spots in a way.
Yeah.
I think this is a natural progression for them. They're going to need the depth anyway. Champions League, going for cups. I think for them, I think they'll probably want to win one of the domestic cups. You know, go one better than last year. But I think it's a strong sign for them. It's a statement sign that they can continue to strengthen the team, but not skip steps. They're going the logical steps, one step at a time.
Just one more signing as well. So Vardiol confirmed.
Yes.
To Man City, 90 mil.
Yeah, big signing.
That like was rumored like a month ago now, right?
Yeah, well,
but then Leipzig came out and like made it sound like it fell through.
It would have sounded like it did, yeah.
But then it just kind of shows like Fab got it right, but also just from like a Man City perspective, it's like they're spending 90 mil on a centre back.
It's not.
I'm not getting rid of any of their centre backs. That's 6.
They have. I mean, they played Akanji and Ake as fullbacks last year, but they're both centre backs. It's really crazy. So I mean.
So here we go. They've got.
He's very young. Don't get me wrong, but
Gvardiol, Diaz, Stones, Walker, Ake, Cancelo, Laporte, and Akanji. How do you push
Lewis? And they got Gomez.
How do you tuck them into a 4?
So Lewis and Gomez.
What 4 do you line up with if you have a Champions League final for Man City? How are you making them a 4? If you have a Champions League final,
they got Cancelo back.
I'd like to say Cancelo's going to play, but I just don't see it happening. Like they've obviously had a falling out. Like
but they would have shipped him out.
They've tried to. It's just no one wants to pay that money. No, you're not going to ship him out for 30 million, are you?
Yeah, but does Cancelo just want to sit on the bench now for the rest of his career? Like he's going to play. He's going to have to play. Yeah. But
I think it'll be a bit like he'll probably play like 50% of the games, but he's not going to be like he was. He's not going to be like he was 2 years ago.
But even if he plays 50% of the games, like we've just named. So Ake played
I think
left
Ake's a
back.
left back.
That's Ake and Cancelo are going to play left back because they actually don't have left backs. I mean, but then centre back they got
Vardiol, Diaz, Stones,
Akanji. Yeah,
you want to play him at centre back.
Um,
And that's Walker can play centre back as well, but he's gonna be the right back.
Laporte.
but it's like we said that.
yeah.
But it's like you have to fit in 5 world class players into 2 spots.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
And what are you going to change for every Champions League? You're going to change the whole back for every Champions League.
You can't do that.
No.
I mean, like,
Who do you start?
I guess
If
you
anyone's
can
going to do that, it is Pep. But,
Yeah, but I guess
yeah,
you
it won't
can
happen.
do that. But it's like for the fluidity of the team
And for the
you know,
stability.
stability.
Yeah.
It's like continuity. I just don't think that's a viable
Yeah.
play, right? Changing the whole back 4, but yeah, it's interesting because I mean, if you're spending 90 million on Vardy, you're going to have to. He's going to play right centre back, and you're going to play Diaz left centre back.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So who was your fullback?
That's a
then?
strong
Who are your
centre
fullbacks?
back.
And then you're going to play Stones as a DM, but then you got
'cause
Rodri.
that's what I'm gonna do.
It's like, what
I'd
do you
do that.
What
I'd-
do
you
you
do- go
do?
with that.
I don't know what do you do.
Yeah, so I don't understand what's happening with Stones. Stones and Diaz have probably been the best 2 centre backs
And they get
last
separated.
year. Arguably, would you say that?
Stones
Yeah.
is our number 1 player.
Yeah, but was
Like,
Stones and
players.
Diaz arguably the 2 best centre backs last year?
I think as
yeah,
a pairing.
Diaz came good, but
Came good, yeah.
Stones was good
so
for the
how
entire
do you
time.
drop one of them? Because
Why don't you drop him, mate? You
know.
move him around. It's the Pep way. You move things around.
I wouldn't be surprised if Diaz doesn't start for a while. I'm not Diaz.
tell
Sorry,
me-
I'm-
tell me your back forward. I wanna hear
Neither
you-
would
I wanna hear both
He
back
didn't
forwards.
start last year. He didn't
I
start.
wouldn't be surprised if Vardiol doesn't start straight away.
Yeah, neither would I. But it's what I'm saying is in like.
Stones will start him in one aspect or another.
I think
Or
yeah.
it
Go.
just
go.
shows
What's your back
Man
for? What's your back
City,
for?
like,
Where are you going with?
Yeah.
What am I going
Yeah,
with?
tell me because I want. If you're Pep and you're making the
What,
Champions
my
League,
prediction?
the
Or
Champions
what I
League,
would
like, what
do?
would you go with for a Champions League final game tomorrow if you're Pep? Just imagine you're Pep.
Cancelo,
Yep.
Diaz, Stones, Walker.
Okay. Yeah,
No, I'd probably go Ake
I'm going Ake as well.
just because I don't know like when Cancelo's at. I'd probably go Ake, Stones, Diaz, Walker as well. Yeah.
I don't think
I
Vardiol.
don't-
We're not talking about his
But
breaking.
but then what's the
Hey,
next?
I know he's 90 mil.
So what's the next 4 then? Then the next 4 is Cancelo, Vardiol, Laporte,
Laporte,
Vardiol, and then
and-
Rico Lewis.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a crazy.
Oh, we didn't even say Akanji, and then you got Rico Lewis
it's
as the
and
the
like
third.
Sergio Gomez. And
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like
It's confusing,
Akanji played like he would have played 70% of the games last
Yeah.
year.
The back end, he was playing a lot as well.
I
Like,
just
He
don't know.
probably
I
plays
just
left
don't
back.
know.
You're probably right. Maybe
well,
he
Stones
plays instead of
I
Cancelo.
think it's
at the
going to
start.
be it's going to be clear that by the
don't-
midway point of the season, Stones should be in the midfield. I think,
think-
it's what's gonna happen.
I
It's
think
natural
Stones is
progression.
definitely going to play more forward. He's going to have to. He's going to have
What's
to.
it?
But you reckon? So you reckon?
Double pivot with
They've spent
Rodri.
an outrageous amount of money.
So
on
you
their
reckon
back line.
Stones is actually, because I know he pushes on when they're attacking, but you reckon Stones is actually going to play as an out and out midfielder?
I can give
Why
a double
do you
pivot
sign a
with
90 mil centre back if he's not
to
going to
move
play?
the best centre back that we think in the
I don't
league.
know.
He's not gonna
I'm not going to answer your questions because I don't know why they signed the 90 mil centre back. But like,
Well, but I mean, I know they got heaps of money, but like, why do you invest your money in your defence?
because I think they see
you
Vardiol
think-
as being eventually like they probably saw the problems with.
But why do you
Diaz
buy him now? Let
last
his
year.
contract run down.
It is strange,
Like,
but Pep,
and especially, why do you spend the money now when
I just don't
when you could have
see it.
spent it like on your weekend midfield
Or the right
your-
wing if you
or
knew
your
Bernardo was
less.
never-
You say they're weak in midfield, but like going back, not last year,
Well,
the year
obviously-
before.
no, I know that's
Bernardo even played with De Bruyne and
No.
Bernardo
but
would play
I'm
more
just saying
time
it's
in
I'm
there.
just saying it's
Yeah.
like of all the areas in your pitch to strengthen, you strengthen your centre back, so you have legitimately six
six
players.
world class centre backs. 6 that goes
Like-
into any other Premier League
I
team.
don't know.
You have a-
so you think Vardiol, if you are Pep, you think like Pep will though start Vardiol?
Not round
one, but like
week
eventually.
one.
Eventually
like
will.
eventually, like about match week
100%.
3.
It'll be
He
Diaz
was
and
starting.
him.
He
And
at one
Diaz.
point during the season he was starting Ake, Diaz, Stones, and Akanji
As a
across the
back
back four.
That's 4 centre backs across the back 4.
They're all centre backs.
No, I know that.
But no, he was definitely.
was starting.
Vardy will definitely
No,
start.
he's going to get his start, but do you think he'll be like their first choice out
I don't
anytime
know.
this year?
I don't know.
Well, I
To
think
be honest,
maybe.
no, to be honest, no. I still think Diaz and Stones will.
Like Champions League final comes around, is he starting? No.
I think Stones and Rodri plays double pivot in the midfield.
I don't know.
I think you'd actually go Gvardiol and Diaz. You go Ake
I don't think
and
they signed
Walker.
Kovacic as a direct replacement of Gundo.
Yeah, but Antonio, but
yeah,
you've got to
but
put Stones somewhere.
Yeah,
He's
you're not gonna.
ball
You're
playing
You're
midfield.
gonna fit in.
So you reckon Stones is the better midfielder than Kovacic or Bernardo Silva?
I think it's a different type of.
A different type. I
midfield,
think it
but
works in
I
Champions
honestly
League
think
final,
Stones
works.
could play mid.
I think it's a lot easier though when you see Stones jump into midfield in comparison to him playing a full time.
But could you imagine how strong
No.
they are defensive and physical they are in midfield if they have Stones and Rodri as a double?
I think
one goes on.
I just don't know if he'd go that defensive though.
But the front four
Yeah, but if he gives,
players in front of them,
like Stones the license to play a little bit less defensively, I don't know.
balls.
No, I agree.
I want to see Stones playing like an actual midfielder because it's a lot easier. Trust me, because when you're playing,
I'm not
when
doubting
you're,
that, but
when
I
you're
think
a
he has
back
the
four and you
capability.
push on,
Yeah, no. I'm not doubting.
It's a lot easier.
I'm not undermining your point. I'm just saying, I think he can do it. And I think we've seen the ball at his feet because disregard whatever the back four, whatever. When the ball's at his feet and you're looking at the ball at his feet, he's one of the best in their team. So why can't he play as a 8 or a 6?
Is Pep trying to concede 0 goals this year? Is that what's going on?
Sorry?
Pep's trying to concede 0 goals.
Yeah, it looks like that's the evolution. Haaland scored 100
don't concede a
and
goal.
then concede 0. And 100
honestly, okay, but going back to your point before, so there's probably a point in the season where they're going to play a back four of all centre backs.
Yep, I think that'll happen. Yep.
You're not going to want. Oh, the reason he does that is he gets the 2 left and right backs to tuck in.
Yep.
So which centre back then, if Stones is playing DM, pushes on?
I think. That's a good question. I think you'd probably push on Ake, but Ake's the quickest. So Ake would probably push on.
But Ake,
he can cover.
Is he that great with his feet? Because
No, but you've already got some of the best ball playing players.
Ake's a bit scary to watch, but he's good with his
But he's so
he
fast, he
looks
can get back
scary
anywhere.
to watch,
Yeah.
but he's like...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they want to play 3 back when they're attacking and push a person on.
No, I'm just a hypothetical world. But if you need to play in a Champions League in a final, you need to be slightly more defensive. It's just the way.
No, you're
finals
right.
work.
I'm just saying, yeah, like you'd want to push someone on.
If you're
I don't
facing-
see
if
any
you're-
of those other centre
if
backs
you're playing away at
as
Luton-
someone that you go, oh, I want to push them on.
If you're at home or away to Luton, you're not playing Stones and centimetre. Obviously, you're playing Kovacic and you're playing more progressive. But
Yeah.
if you're playing, if Arsenal United are really firing and the wingers are and the ball players like the Mason Mount or the Havertz of the world are dominating this season, why not have Stones there with a bit more robust, a bit more strength? Imagine him, KDB, and Rodri in that. Physicality wise, you're bossing
I just don't
every
think it's the
midfield.
Pep way though.
Yeah, I don't think it's. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's what Pep will do.
But what is the Pep way? Pep's way changes every second week.
It must be what he's going to do though. Because look, as we
Nah,
said, no one else.
I'm not convinced. I think that.
You can say you're not convinced at all, but it's Pep. You can never be convinced with Pep.
No, you're right. You're
might
right.
play
I think it's
Stones right wing.
It's definitely.
You never know.
Stones might be the new right wing.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a possibility what you're saying. I just don't really.
I don't think it's as far away as you think it is. That's all.
I just don't really see it being like something that's going to happen very often. Like, you probably will do it as a couple games here and there, but it's not going to be something that goes, okay, our starting back four and our 2 DMs, like our main ones, are going to be Diaz and Vardio and Stones and Rodri playing in front of. I just don't see it. It will happen.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, but
at some point, but I don't see it being.
Yeah,
it'll be more like a diverse, like, I don't know, a Sheffield United, and they'll go, oh, let's try this out or something.
Okay,
Let's have this.
that makes sense.
And then it might work, and he might try to get a better team like a West Ham or maybe a Tottenham or something like that. But I don't see it happening in terms of.
I think cup football though, it's made for something like that. That's where it come in handy. The cup game.
But they didn't do that last year. They still won cups.
Yeah, but you didn't have 17 centre backs that can play for the best team in the world. So that's the thing. We'll move on a little bit. Final 2 transfers I mentioned. I'll just quickly run over them. Frank Kesse looks like he's going to Saudi as well, and also Willian, after signing a deal 17 days ago, has decided to.
Saudi?
Yeah, he's going ahead for 15 million. Willian signed for Fulham 17 days ago, extending his contract, and is now off to Saudi as well.
Yep.
So that just shows how incredible the pool with Saudis at the moment.
That's crazy.
And that stiffs Fulham big time, I think, coming to their season. But now we go to the exciting bit of the episode. We're going to the ladder prediction. A lot of it's one of the most even. I feel like it's out every year in the Premier League. Every
just
year,
doing it before.
it's
So
so
hard
even.
to do.
It's so competitive. But I feel like this year it is so competitive. We're going to start from 20 to 1. This week we're not going to try and combine, which is our individual ones. We'll work through it individually on the way through.
It's going to be a fluid.
I'd like
someone.
to-
I may chop and change.
Yes.
I'll try not to.
We will try and revisit this in a few weeks' time, maybe 5-6 weeks' time.
Yeah, I'd like to revisit
To see
this
how
as
we're
well at
going
the end of the season
and
and do a
to adjust.
reaction video.
Yeah.
But it also be
At the
good,
end of
like,
the season, a
I
reaction
think
video.
like 3 or 4 weeks in the season.
A
you
few
have
transfers
much
could
better
change
idea of
things,
how how the teams are going to shape up.
But
So
the fact this is the week before the season
keep
starts,
it
it
moving.
seems logical to do it. So I guess we'll start with you, Tots. Number 20th, going down, the worst team in the Premier League next year. What are you going with?
Sheffield United.
Yeah. Just
I think this could be in a number of teams. Probably all the way up until I think Wolves could have been, Everton, Bournemouth, Luton.
yeah.
I'm not convinced with any of those teams, any of them.
Yeah.
But then I think out of the teams I don't see a way where Sheffield don't finish bottom 3. Whereas I feel like those other teams, even if I might have them in my bottom 3 at the moment, have a way of escaping relegation.
Yeah.
So that's why I've put them last at the moment. But you don't know. They could come out and finish 15th. The Premier League's a weird thing. You look last year at a lot of people had
Bournemouth and Fulham going down.
Yeah, Bournemouth going down, even Fulham going down. And neither of them went down.
They were very safe towards the back end. So definitely.
Yeah, everyone had Bournemouth.
And Flynn, you're 20th.
I've also got Sheffield just because, kind of backing up what Todd said. I just think like the league is so competitive that some of these new teams is going to really struggle to like make inroads and I mean, look, as you said, like you never know, but for me, I because like the teams above them, I just feel like I have a better understanding of.
Yeah.
I just feel like they'll pick up enough wins to stay up.
And thirdly, I'm also going with Sheffield. I think the biggest thing for me is Ilian Ndiaye, the French striker, I believe, last year, 14 goals, 11 assists in 46 games. He carried them. He was a massive part of their team going through. And it seems they're not bringing anyone in to replace him. Like, they've got Traore they've brought in, who's a forward, but this is not going to be the goals that Ndiaye's provide. And if you do it well in the Championship, we've seen with Mitro, normally it's transferred last season over the Prem. And if you're bringing in guys from other leagues, it's not as easy to get your feet down and start running instantly in the Prem. They just haven't got the budget, I think, to compete. Yeah. Like Luton are actually spending some sort of money. It seems like
they also have to redo the stadium and stuff. So it's like it's just kind of like I think Luton is showing a little bit.
Yeah, Sheffield I think is going to struggle. They just haven't got the budget to keep up with the others around them.
Yeah, I think it's more of as well. Like Sheffield's been up a couple of times. I think for Luton it's a bit different.
It's a big deal.
Luton's like, this is a huge deal. We've got to stay up.
They've also progressed so fast as well. I mean, I know Sheffield last time they came up
did all right.
The
COVID season, they did really good.
They did really well their first year. Like as in,
didn't they finish like 8th?
Yeah, I can't remember who their coach was, but they finished top half.
Chris Wilder at the wheel there.
Yeah, Chris Wilder, then the ex-bank or whatever it was. But, Sheffield were really not. But then second season syndrome, he got sacked halfway through, and then they really.
So we've all got Sheffield coming last in 19th. I'll kick us off. I've gone Luton to finish 19th, despite the moves. I like the move of Teat Chong, the former United player, championship last year, did very, very well. They've also got Nakamba from Aston Villa as well on a free. He's got some Premier League experience. They're making Premier League moves. But I just think just not enough, right? The talent level of this league so high. Obviously, the home games are huge for them. If they're going to stay up, they're going to have to
it's going to have to be a fortress. It's going to have to be an absolute fortress.
And because they're going away, I think that you're just going to not have enough to go there. You've got the signing of Giles from Wolves for $6 million, 13 assists last year in the championships. It did very well last year in the championship when he was on loan. But I just think, the talent's not enough there. They're making some steps to try and fill in that talent. But I think at the current point in time, I just don't have them squad depth and talent-wise meeting everyone else.
Yeah, so as much as I wanted to try and keep them up, I've also gone Luton. I just think you sort of need like that 35 points-ish to... Yeah. And I really struggle to see them winning on the road. It's impossible. They were the one that snuck in from the championship last year. So they weren't the Burnley who got 101 points. Yeah. But... I just think they'll just the fairy tale is gonna come to an end. I'm sure they'll get some highlights throughout the season. I'm sure they'll sneak a massive win against someone at home, like one of the big boys. But across the board, I just think they're not gonna have enough to stay up.
I think it's the talented squad not quite there.
So I got them 19th.
You're Wolves. I'm interested.
Wolves. Okay.
Yeah. Why Wolves?
Just again, like when we're talking about other teams, I think they've had players leave, like Neves and stuff. And they brought in really no one. Yeah. And after last season, they were not far off it last season, really. Yeah. And to bring in no one and get rid of probably, is that arguably their best player?
Yeah, their best player.
Yeah. So, and I don't see Wolves really, and their manager leaving. I don't really see them making big inroads this year. Maybe they might escape it, but they'll be in the bottom 5, I could nearly say for sure.
I think the whole season they'll be knocking around there, won't they? 18th, I might as well continue where you're going. I went Wolves 18th. I just... Lopetegui's a great manager. I don't see him hanging around if they don't sign anyone else, and he's threatened to leave. Like, Jimenez hasn't been great for 2 or 3 years, but you lose that...
Well, Jimenez is gone now.
Jimenez is gone. I'm saying you lose him, you basically got Hwang and Fabio Silva as your forwards. Fabio Silva's young and yet to prove himself.
Guedes... Well, I'll touch on that when I get to it.
I just don't think, though, it's enough. Like, all their money's on Mateus Cunha, who did nothing for them last season, who came on like obviously expressive sort of 10, maybe a false 9 sort of option, but the goals aren't there. They were the worst XG team last season. They're not improved on anything. Jose Sarr has not really been an improvement of Patricio. I think
it wasn't as good as he was the previous year as well.
So I think it's gone backwards from there. The defence, for me... They've lost Nathan Collins as well. He's gone to Brentford. I just don't think it's there. I think they're really lacking in quality talent. And if Lopetegui doesn't get the support, he's a top European manager. He'll be out the door in like in a month or so. So Wolves need to make some moves, unless I think it's going to be a really rough season for them.
Who do you have, Flynn?
I've gone Bournemouth.
18th, going down.
I do. So, firstly, I hope it happens because I think their coach, I think Gary O'Neill got treated extremely harshly. And I forget the new guy's name. I know he's
Iriola.
Yeah, I know he's a quality manager. Yeah. I think it was.
He's been at Sassuolo. He was in Spain last year as well.
Was he? I can't remember.
Yeah, Spain.
I know he's a decent manager, but it's more so just out of the fact that I just don't think they've got that much talent around the pitch. I know Solanke's alright. I know Billings was good last year.
Yeah,
but I just don't think they're going to create enough. And I think there was a reason everyone had them last year. Yeah, clubs can overperform, but like I still think within there they just lack a little bit, and I just don't think with the talent around them they're gonna stay up.
Yeah, Vallecano, the Spanish team last year. He kept them doing well in a Spanish cup. That's why
I was on a 50-50 here.
Yeah,
between two teams.
And who have you got 18th?
Bournemouth and Luton I had, but I'm gonna go Luton.
And Luton, yep. So Bournemouth safe for you.
Yeah, just because I think that.
Have you changed your list, have you?
Yeah.
You changed your list last time.
Yeah, since last time we spoke, I've changed my list.
Yeah, so you've got Luton going down.
I've gone Luton going down. Yeah, I don't see them winning many points away from home. Yeah. And I think the signings they've brought in, if you look just how far they were off the top two in the championship, like the ones that have come in,
points,
and we're saying that Sheffield United, who were somewhat like 15 points ahead of them.
I think it's sort of the play style is a little bit different though. So I think Luton probably have like a more...
It's a direct style. It's
not
stoked,
which will probably more
I've still got them going down, but that's why I've got them above.
No, same. That's why I've got them above.
I just think
Sheffield. I think the signings they made,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I think very easily they could survive. That's why, even chucking the likes of Everton down there, it could be very it was a very tough one for me. This 18th spot was the hardest one. I think my bottom two I was kind of cemented with.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not confident at all with this one. But yeah, I'll stick with Luton just because I think there's not enough going on there, and they're going to have to play somewhat like that direct dodge type football.
Like they did in the championship playoffs. They played redirect, very long balls.
It works it's going to work against those championship teams, and it'll work again against some of these Premier League teams, but I don't know. It's not going to last, I don't think. I think it'll be the type of team that start off well, Luton. I feel like they'll pick up a few points early on.
Yeah.
And I feel like then they're going to die. I reckon sitting match week 20, they could be
falling off a
14th, 15th. But I reckon by the end of the year, they'll fall off and get relegated.
And your 17th team and the other team you were tossing up with going down, who was your 17th? Bournemouth, yeah.
Yeah, again, a bit of injustice to Gary O'Neill.
Not a big fan of Gary O'Neill sacking?
Yeah, not a big fan. I remember when we had the first or second show, we were talking about him in Manager of the Year. And we're both in agreement here.
Yeah.
And we're probably doesn't get in our top 5. Maybe he was touch and go, but he's definitely knocking on that door. And especially, it's not like he's coaching one of the top 5 teams that he's not a top 5 manager. It doesn't matter. He's coaching Bournemouth. To have a manager that we're talking about in the conversation for top 5, it was a massive injustice. So it's more hope for me as well. No. And I'm actually hoping they finish below Luton. I think they
Screw
will.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth slander over here.
Yeah, I just think that they won't. If you just look at their squads, Bournemouth have a lot stronger squad than Luton.
You know when Bournemouth said how they clipped all the videos? We're going to be clipped.
Let's hope we get clipped up.
Screw Bournemouth.
For your 17th, who's just staying safe?
So I've gone Wolves.
Wolves, yep.
So look, for me it was it's honestly a bit of a flip of a coin. Who kind of goes down and up between 19th, even 19th. So I think Luton clears up, and let me double check on this, 16th or 15th. But look, I think they had a few players last year who kind of underperformed the expectations. I think Pedro Neto was a big underperformer. A lot of high expectation from him. And once again, I think Jose Sala didn't perform as well as he did the previous year.
Pretty bad season.
If Lopetegui stays, then that
I think it's bigger than the manager as well. If Lopetegui's there, that's the thing.
I just look, there wasn't too much thought with Wolves. I know their XG was horrible last year. They don't really play like necessarily much better at home than they do away.
No.
But I think the thing about Wolves, like they have the capability of like taking a scalp here and there.
Yeah.
Like when they play well. So it's just for me, it's going to be like, can they find more goals? And that's what they're going to need. So obviously Collins is a big loss defensively.
Defense is a big loss.
And I mean, I keep saying, obviously bloody Neves is gone as well.
Yeah,
so
Neves,
they're losing players
gone
everywhere.
Yeah.
But I still think they'll be able to find enough within like their Portuguese, draft prospect team. So,
lots of Mateus Cunha to score goals.
I'm going 17th.
For me, my 17th just avoiding is Everton, and just purely on the fact of the manager. Really, Sean, I've been saying it so many times. I talk a lot about aura, but it's almost like the Sean Dyche aura that just keeps his teams up.
So I was saying to him before the show, I was like, it's not Everton. It's not the same Everton as Dyche.
Yeah, I was saying it's not Everton. It's Sean Dyche, and to be honest, you talk about Bournemouth wanting to go. I probably want Everton to go down because the amount of times they've got lucky chances, they've been so close to going down. Every last 2 or 3 years, it feels like last day sort of stuff, but they've managed to stay up, and I just think they'll probably just stay there. Obviously, the lack of signings because their new stadium they're building, there's probably a lot of money going. They sort of Tottenham how they couldn't sign for a season or so. So a lot's riding on DCL being fit because when he's fit, they sort of work. They seem to work nicely. Ashley Young's coming, a bit of veteran experience, but I think Danjuma is going to be a big thing. If Danjuma and DCL get going, they'll be fine. And obviously, you got the Dwight McNeils of the world, the real Brexit top footballers there for Sean Dyche. But I think Sean Dyche gets you enough points away from home that Everton's home form normally is enough to keep. Normally, every year, that's what keeps them up, right? It's those 6-pointers at home to relegation rivals that keep them up. So I've just got them staying up just because of Dyche ball, basically.
So, okay.
Moving to 16th.
I've got Everton at 16th to continue on what you were saying, and I'm agreeing with you. I think Dyche ball doesn't allow teams to really finish high up the table.
No,
but it definitely allows them to avoid relegation, and they'll be around that mark, the 16th, maybe the 17th.
That could be the relegation zone throughout the year.
Maybe 15th, 14th, but probably not any higher than I'd say 14th.
Yeah.
If we be on agreement there?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where they max their ceiling at the moment.
Max. So, but that's what Dyche ball allows, and I don't think really they're expecting much more. I think they just need to get through this.
And survival until the stadium.
Maybe 2 years or so.
Yeah.
And then they probably, hopefully, will get back to what they were.
Knocking on European goal, basically. Yeah.
I've gone Brentford at 16.
Here we go. The first bold one we've had so far.
I don't know if it's that bold.
I think Ivan Toney is such a massive loss.
Yeah.
When's he going to be back? Like Jan?
It's mid-season, so around December, Jan,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if...
I wouldn't be surprised if they're last up until he comes back.
No, that's a fair call.
So that was sort of my mindset. As in, I think they'll really struggle without him. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the whole preseason will be like, okay, how can we score without Ivan Toney?
Yeah.
But he's a 20-goal season player.
Yep.
He creates stuff out of nothing. He's like lethal in front of goals. He's also really good to hold up play, so he gets his teammates involved. Like, Mbeumo off the right is really good. Like when he can get the ball laid off from Toney.
Yeah.
I just think that he single-handedly dragged them wins last year, and I think he's going to be a massive loss. I think Brentford are decent, but I just think that Ivan Toney is such a key part to what they do.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be such a massive loss. They're going to be bottom 3 or 4 until he's here, or bottom 2 or 3 until he gets back, and they might start getting a few more points when he's back. So look. They could finish. I think they could finish anywhere between 16th and a little bit higher. But I'm going to go more the negative side and just assume that they
struggle.
They're more clawing back points because they're going to start so poorly than they are trying to just maintain. The whole way through.
That's fair enough.
I agree with you that they will be a lot lower than last year, but I don't know if you're basically saying they're going to be in the relegation battle.
No, I think it's going to be very similar to when Newcastle got taken over by Eddie Howe.
And
when the takeover, so it's they were in relegation zone, but it's like okay, we're in the relegation zone, but we know our player is returning on this exact date. He's going to be fully fit. He's going to be bloody raring to go.
They'll be counting how many points they can get after he comes back. Probably,
I think they might. I think they'll get. I mean, in terms of the points, I don't know how they're going to go in terms of if they're going to triple their points when Tony's back or whatever it is, but.
It's a lot to ask for.
I know.
But
10 or
I just think they're going to lose so many goals without Ivan Toney.
No, that's fair. I think
he's
a massive player.
I think it's fair. You can't put them anywhere near what they were last year. That'd be criminal. But
I'm basically saying I think he's the most important player to a team to any team in the league. I think he makes more of a difference to Brentford than any other player does in any other team.
No, very cool.
Very cool.
My 16th, I've gone with West Ham. I'm off what's going on at the club. There's obviously some ownership problems with legal battles. So there's been no signings. They've lost their best, probably their generational player in Declan Rice. Like, he's gone. And there's been no replacements at all.
They're not reinvesting.
Yeah, Scamacca could be on the way out back to Italy as well. So there's no real forward option there, because I was hoping he'd this year try and kick on a bit. Obviously, a really poor season last year. But if you're relying
also
on
sounds
Danny
like
Ings.
Antonio might have been leaving, like going to Saudi as well.
But you're relying technically on Danny Ings to score your goals and Souček to bring back 2021 form, which is, I think, a long way
It's
past
like irreplaceable, to be honest. Like
they're linked with, obviously, with McTominay from United, Maguire from United, Conor Gallagher, I think would be a really good get for them. Someone who can control the midfield. Because right now, their midfield is Lucas Paquetá and Souček, which is two opposite ends of the field. You need someone in there who can dictate the play, control the ball. And I think...
I won't say where I put West Ham.
I just think
current moment in time.
there's a lack... Right now, you win a European Cup, and there's a lack of ambition to go on with things. David Moyes is a ticking time bomb.
I think
you can't just say
that's a
this.
big think, though.
Yeah. Like right now, there's been no links. There's been nothing at all.
If you're basing it from now...
I think they will, make maybe, the McTominay signing, the...
I just think,
signing.
I just don't think this is enough right now for West Ham to go on with it. You're relying on Bowen for goals basically, and Scamacca to hopefully stay and score. There's no midfield structure and competence.
They're nowhere near as good as they were in 20. Like all their players who were good in 2021 have dropped off.
Yeah, and you got Issa Diop at the back to try and hold things together with Zuma. That's what it sort of feels like. Not Diop's gone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zuma at the back.
And I won't make much of a comment.
And Kera trying to hold things back. And I just don't think when you're in Europa League, you got this sort of team, how it's going to. You saw last year in the conference they struggled to keep things in. You had Declan Rice there. I think it's going to fall apart. Yeah. David Moyes is a ticking time. I think he's being stiffed a bit here with what's going on in the transfer window. And the West Ham fans aren't so kind when things turn around. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the club there to turn it around. I think they'll just the back in the season just enough points to stay up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just my little caveat to that. I think the bottom. I think the bottom 7 or 8 clubs are going to be so tight again. I think it's going to be so similar to this year. I think the league will be so similar to this year.
Yeah.
Maybe besides the top end.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, we're going to see a super competitive relegation battle. So I wouldn't be surprised if this team's 3 or 4 positions higher or lower. Yeah. But within within all 5 points of each other, 10 points of each other.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
fair enough.
15th place. Who are we going with here, guys?
Palace.
Jeez, you got them all in the 12th.
That's what we were joking earlier. The Palace is the 12th, 11th staples. Why 12th? Why 15th?
Yeah, I think just losing Zaha. I know he didn't play that much last year, but then you got Elise linked to go, big staples in their team. And I don't know if Hodgson, I don't know, Hodgson's football was a bit more like I say, what about with Deitch? I don't see him revolutionising the game and getting 45, 50 points. So I definitely see them avoiding relegation, but again, I think it'll be so tight, and they it could be them anywhere probably between 17th and maybe 12th, but I don't see them finishing much higher, and I think there's a lot of other teams that are better than them, which is why they're 15th, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Flynn, you're 15th?
I've gone, let me just double check. I've gone, Everton. So
bit high.
Yeah, look, I wanted them, same as you, I want them to go down.
Yeah.
But I just think that, as I said, I just think it's going to be so tight around the bottom there that I think Everton will actually sort of outperform their bottom, table contenders. And yeah, I think a big if is DCL can stay fit. It feels like it hasn't stayed fit for so long.
Well, since that first 15 games that when he went on,
it just feels like
he thought he's going to win the Golden Boot.
It feels like he hasn't played more than 10 games a season for 3 or 4 years. But if he can stay fit, he looks really threatening when he plays. Will be a great asset to a Dyche team. Tall,
crossing target.
Yeah. He's tall and it's just a lethal finisher. So yeah, look, I'm not going to really overcomplicate it. I just think that Everton will do enough to get enough points at home, and will sit deep. They'll just they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to gain points on their bottom half contenders. Like the Luton, if they're trying to play more expansive, I think Everton will just have enough to hold them out, get one goal, wrap it up, and I can't see them taking any big scalps for the whole year. I can't see that happening. I just think they won't have enough against a big team. Yeah. But yeah, I think they'll do well.
You say that, but look last year when they beat Arsenal.
That's why.
But I think it's a different. I think, but they didn't do that. Deitch.
Yes, they did.
Did they?
That was the first
First
Deitch
game, Deitch was back.
Was it?
It was the first
But you know
game.
why? It's the whole new manager
Yeah,
bounce.
look,
It was
look.
Arsenal just being...
You know, you can tell I've removed it from my brain. You can tell.
yeah. Kicked it
But,
out the first photo.
But I don't think Deitch's style is going to be like we're going to, look, I know the style says we're going to sit back and hold out good teams for ages and get one, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
But I can see them doing that against, because it feels like everyone in the Prem is trying to play more expansive. Like,
everyone's trying to match each other. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to, everyone's trying to be entertaining, and as a result, I think Everton will capitalize from that.
Yeah.
And get smaller scalps.
Yeah, definitely. My 15th is... Well, you guys had a much lower. I had Bournemouth at 15th. I like the manager. I've read a bit more about him after that video I did. Seen he had a really good cup run there with Vallecano. Done well in Spain. And despite the Gary O'Neill sacking, I know it may seem like it probably is harsh, but looking back at the turn, the back half of the season, the last 5-6 games, it all sort of fell apart a bit at Bournemouth. I think the biggest loss though for them is Jefferson Lerma, the CDM. He's going to Palace. Him and Billing sort of held that midfield up. He had Premier League experience. You lose him, but you've got midfielders. Traore's come from Sassuolo. He was linked to AC Milan a few years ago, so that's a big sign for them.
Yeah.
How you do it with the Premier League, that's the difference. He's a physical type of player, though, so good replacement. I think the most exciting one's left wing Kluivert. Kluivert's come across from France. That'll be exciting to see how he goes.
There'll be a lot of hype around him as well.
A proper winger that bolts down that wing, keeps wide on the flanks, and a bit more, I guess, direct type of football. They lost Wilson a few years ago, so direct type. I like that sort of signing. I think the intent from Bournemouth is to kick on a bit. They've got a new left back as well, getting with the Adam Smiths to the well, so they're progressing a bit more, looking outside of England a bit more. So I'm liking the way they're going about it. Will they have enough to do it? I think so. But similar to like the Lutons, the world away is going to be a struggle, I think, for them. I think the home forms will be really, really big for them. Like under Gary O'Neill, can they take big 3 points at home and then scrape points here and there? I think they'll probably, for me, I'm thinking 15 is probably the last of the sort of bottom half. But I think they'll be sort of separating themselves from the West Hams, the Wolves, the Evertons I've got below them. But you're right. The bottom sort of 6, 7 is hard to pick. There's going to be a really
I can pinpoint on mine where I think it splits. So in 14th for me, I've got West Ham.
Yeah, it's a bit further.
Despite me being, super bearish on West Ham, I was like, before the show, I was hating them. And to be honest, I think, so for me, it's 14th and below, I think, is literally interchangeable. I just think they're going to be similar to Everton in the sense that I think they have enough Premier League talent there.
Yeah.
And if they can rediscover a bit of the format of Souček, Ariel will probably be the number one this year. He's a decent keeper.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Zouma is a decent centre back on his day. I think they've made some signings which haven't, lived up to what they were supposed to. Like Sukera from PSG was supposed to be better than he is. I think Paqueta actually finally came good at the end of last year. I think 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
I thought he was really, really solid, considering I'd been really tough on him when he first came. I thought he was showing nothing. But, 70 mil player, I think, was finally showing something. Danny Ings, you'll get a few, you'll sneak goals out of him.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really big if with Scamacca and Mikel Antonio.
Yeah.
If they can rediscover any of that attacking form, because they look so poor going forward.
Struggle.
Jared Bowen's obviously good. Midfield, massive hole without Declan Rice. Yeah. But if Souček, they got Pablo Fornals in there. They got a few players in there. I just think if they can strengthen their midfield a little bit, get one signing in there to try and McTominay, for example.
Even Gallagher and McTominay, just so they can have the ball at their feet.
I think McTominay would be that perfectly, because I think it allows Souček to maybe play a little bit more further forward. Get on the back of those some of those backstick headers, which he was doing so often last year or 2 years ago. Sorry, and let Paqueta play a little bit further, a bit more advanced.
Yeah.
A bit more attacking, and I think that'll get enough. So I wasn't initially as. I'm not initially, not as skeptical as I initially was with West Ham. But I think if it goes wrong at the start, we might see Moyes get the sack pretty early.
Yeah. I've gone Brentford.
Brentford 14th.
Yeah, so not as skeptical as Flynn, putting him 16th. But yeah, I am very skeptical, in terms of Ivan Toney is a massive hole there. I'm the same as Flynn in the sense that I think they'll be lower end of the table and then get a lot more points towards the end of the year, not end of the year, end of the season.
Yeah.
But I'm not as skeptical in the sense that I don't think they're going to be dead last. I still think that their team there is better than Sheffield, even without Tony and stuff. I think they'll probably be sitting 17th, maybe, maybe 18th, maybe pushing 16th for most of the season, and then they'll.
But you think they'll find form pretty quick?
Then they'll find form, yeah.
Yeah.
Even probably pushing as high as maybe a 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
My 14th is Burnley. I watched a fair bit of them last year. It was super exciting. The likes of Benson on that right flank, really direct, a proper direct winger. Company plays a ball-playing style of game similar to Pep, so he's won Premier League, so he knows how to win. I think that's really important. People were saying, can this team do it in the Prem? Well, Company's played in the Prem. He will know how to adjust. He'll know how to adapt certain situations. And even some of the signings he made, James Trafford from Bolton, the Man City under-21s keeper, he's in the under-23s England squad.
Knows ball.
He's a very good player. He's a very good player. Yeah. And he's capable with his feet. He can play with his feet. He's a good shot stopper, plays with his feet. Benson last year, I was saying, he's probably one of the championship players of the season. So direct. Yeah. I'm excited to see how he goes in the Prem because coming up with some of the best left backs, I guess, in the world. So it's interesting to see how he goes. I think Burnley will get enough at home and they play at an exciting style of football and they'll get enough points in certain situations that they'll just keep themselves up. I don't think they'll be sort of, like 15th for the line. I think they'll be sort of separate from that relegation. I don't think they'll ever steep down there. But I think it's really important, a good start for Burnley, right? Because if it doesn't really go right early on, a lot of pressure falls on Company. Do they revert back to a more defensive style, which isn't their style? They didn't get here getting 101 points in the championship playing defensive football. They had 60+% possession, bought your feet. Can they do what Brighton and Fulham were doing last year, basically? And maybe less to the extent Brighton, but Fulham had the ball. Fulham played with possession last year. They played well in midfield, intricate play. Can they do that? That's the question. For me, 14th and a good start for them.
Well, going on that, I've gone Burnley 13th. Yep. So I thought I'd continue on and basically the same points there. Yeah. I think that how well they did last year after getting relegated, Company coming in, the possession type football, I think.
Massive change up for the club, eh?
Yeah, from Dyche to Company, it's like one end of the spectrum
polar opposites,
to the other.
Opposites.
Yeah, light and day.
Yeah. I think they'll do really well. I think you look at the teams like
footy score. Sorry. Essendon 1-1.
AFL going on the same time.
I think that the likes of Sheffield United, the Lutons, the Evertons, all them, I think they'll just dominate off the park. Obviously, when you get towards the bigger teams, I'd like to see how they play because when they're in the championship, they could do that to every single team.
Yeah, head and
but when you're going, even like the likes of when you go to a Fulham, when you go to a Brighton, a Villa, even the likes of Tottenham, anyone really at top 10 table, I'd like to see how they play there. I think that's going to distinguish how they do in the season because when they don't have the ball, it's going to be probably
as important as when they do have it.
Because
or even
when they have those games that they don't have the ball is going to be so important because
can they grab a point?
I think those games where they do have the ball, they'll pull points.
Yeah, I think they've got enough attacking talent. Yeah. They brought in, I've got it written down, they brought in Amdouni from the Swiss Super League. He scored 12 goals and 5 assists in
Swiss Super League?
Yeah, for 20 games. He was one of the best marketed player who's been signed. He had scored 7 goals in 11 Conference League games as well. So he's one of the big signings as well. So they've got forward talent. Yeah. Which is if they can score the goals when they don't have the ball. Right. Yourself, 13?
So I've got Forest.
Nice, yeah, right.
So
big Forest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's this is sort of the cutoff though from so I think they're not going to be flirting with relegation. So my next probably 4 I think are pretty interchangeable. Forest, I just think the biggest thing with Forest last year was that almost can they survive? Very similar to Villa a couple of years ago, where when Keane was going super mental at them for celebrating surviving relegation, but it was then they kicked on. It was now they get a full preseason together. They got to clear out the squad a little bit preseason together, and they're obviously trusting in Steve Cooper. Yep. So look, I don't think they'll do anything miraculous, but I think it'll be another step in cementing themselves back in the Prem. Yep. So that's me, Forest 13.
My 13th is Palace. I guess you said earlier, Todd, the Hodgson thing changed the whole team, right? They did have easier games. I think it has to be mentioned. Vieira had some of the toughest games before he got sacked, like the Arsenals and the like.
Super stiff.
But he made Mateta look like a proper striker again. He hadn't scored goals in ages, so he made the striker score goals. I think it's important. If Eze and Elise at the current point in time, they're at the club, but if they go, it could be a relegation scrap. But at the moment, they keep them there. That's what they need, right? And that's reference before Lerma joining it in the centre mid role there. That gives them a bit of depth, strength, and Premier League talent in the midfield there. Will Hughes is in there as well. But there's enough talent there. If they continue the good vibes and good form of last season, get a good start of the year, you can almost separate yourself from that bottom pack. I think, especially with the Burnleys, the Fulhams, the Palaces of the world, getting an important, quick start is going to be good to separate yourself. Because I think
Yeah.
it could come a big cluster at the bottom, the middle, and the top. You want to cluster yourself with that middle sort of group of teams from 9th to 13th or something like that. So I think a quick start for Palace will be important. At least saying as they the big things, if they, big players, if they stay, I think they'll be perfectly fine. There's enough goals there. If they go, I don't know where the goals come from.
Yeah,
You know, so
I completely agree.
moving on to 12th, guys.
Yeah.
You got 12. Okay, I've got
Fulham. I've got
I
Fulham.
got Fulham. Okay, this is not, well, this is nice because I got 12th Fulham as well, so you can talk.
Yeah,
on the-
so we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think with the controversy around Mitrovic, I think that's huge. Like
Massive.
that, I think that's probably the difference.
This is like Mitro not wanting to play, eh?
basically wants out. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
same.
if he's not going to play, I don't see them finishing any higher than 12.
Yeah.
Like even though we've put them 12th without Mitrovic is really actually
I think it's bold.
yeah, it's quite high to be honest.
Probably a good year. Like we saw
Yeah.
Vinicius had to come in and played a decent role when Mitro wasn't there, but he was so important to their success last year.
Yeah, so like I don't see them doing like finishing 9th, even 10th. Like, yeah, without Mitrovic, I think 12 is actually bold from us to say.
If they do have Mitro though, where you got him, do you think they'll do better or
Yeah, probably like I'd probably put them.
like flirting with like top 8 or?
I'd put them 9th or 10th.
Okay. I think the problem is it's similar to West Ham, but to a lesser extent. Like, it just lacks ambition. There's no real signing. They've got Jimenez in for dirt cheap, but it's because Mitrovic is only way out. If Willian goes as well, God, that's a struggle. A lot falls on Pereira, a lot falls on the Reeds, that to the centre.
Pereira, he's coming back from injury. I think,
Exactly.
as
So
well.
a lot's going to
Is
fall
that
to
is
create.
Huh?
Which Pereira?
Andreas.
Andreas Pereira,
yes,
yeah.
I thought you said Pereira.
If you lose Willian and Mitrovic, those guys, like Willian had a great back end of the season. I think it was really underrated how well he played the back end of the season. Lose those two, we saw how bad they were last year without Mitrovic. The goals dry up and there's no sort of structure to the team. The ball doesn't progress from midfield to the forward half of the ground. So I think if you lose those two, you're really going to struggle. And I thought I was being bold having them 12th because I thought Palace would probably jump above them if Palace have a better start. I think a lot's going to fall on Palhinha, Pereira, and Leno probably. Those sort of guys in 3 different parts of the park. They're going to have to rely on those guys to play some good football.
I do think they have a very good midfield though. Like having Palhinha and Andreas Pereira in there.
Palhinha's a beast.
Palhinha's a beast. And actually, I think Pereira had something like 6 goals, 8 assists and didn't play much.
He got injured back in, yeah.
Yeah, he probably played like 25. He probably played 25 starts.
I give him more like 30, but no.
But he still had a very impressive season from from what he did previously. But no, I think Fulham, it needs another signing somewhere.
Yeah.
Like they got signed a
I think a centre-back.
They signed a centre-back, Bassi, who's he's a 6-foot centre-back. So similar to what we saw with, Martinez doesn't work. Fulham's a normally strong, big, tall team at the back. Does that work?
I just think Tim Ram was a little bit of a last year. So like that was my skepticism with anyway, so I'll go, so my 12th is I got Burnley.
Right, you got to be
Okay.
I'm not even gonna lie. This is so passion driven. I'm not an avid championship viewer, but I've seen a lot of company stuff, and to me it feels like the Fulham of last year. I think of the 3 that are coming up. I think it's pretty ignorant to be like, they're all just gonna go straight back down because like we see every year like that's not the case.
It's not working any yet.
I think Fulham are they're gonna be very similar to Fulham in the sense that they'll be dedicated to playing their way, and even though I don't necessarily know every player on the pitch they'll have at the start of the year, I think we'll come to see that they're a very talented group and that they're capable of playing the way they want to. So look, I think they could finish a couple of spots lower, a couple of spots higher, but I definitely see them staying within this range of mid, lower mid. There's not a heap to it, just in the sense that I think Company will stick to their guns by playing the way they know to play, and I think that'll give them success.
100%. Let's go to 11th. I'll rip it off quickly because I think I'm going to get a bit of questions. I've got Brentford 11th. I think there's enough talent there.
Yeah.
I think there's enough talent.
Do you think they'll find enough goals without?
And I think
Tony?
Thomas Frank's just a mastermind. Like, he's one of the best managers in the league for a reason. I think they'll get enough done. They had one of the best home records last year in the whole league. Didn't lose other than for that one game against Newcastle, but like their home record will get them through it. They might be in that bottom bracket, like when Tony comes around. I think that team is so talented. When you just slide him back in there, it will click like that. It's not like it's a new signing. It's a guy you've played with. It's a guy they're used to. Their midfield talent is like the normal guys as well, underrated. They do very, very well. A lot's going to fall on the young German striker, Schade.
Schade.
If he can at least grab 5 or so.
Showed a little bit at the end of last year. Showed a little bit. Just
the pace is there, just not the. It's like sort of the Nunes. It's not that final product.
It was really raw. I would say raw is a right description.
Obviously, the money's not there. They don't have the money really to reinvest it. They're probably punching well above their weight where they are currently. Obviously, got Flecken in to replace Raya. How much they sell Raya for, that'll be interesting because that could hopefully go to help reinvest.
Do you think Raya's 100% gone?
If you signed Mark Flecken, the first keeper from Freiburg, you're assuming, I'm guessing, Raya's on the way out. But it's just about how much money they can make to reinvest. Like Brighton, how much can they reinvest? Because these clubs don't survive on, just buying big players. They have to, 5 million here, 8 million here, 12 million here. That's how they have to try and do it. So I think hopefully with the money they get back, they can strengthen in a forward region to help Mbemba, because lots of Mbemba and Schade to score. But I think Nathan Collins at the back and with Ben Mee, it's a great 2 pairing at the back there. That's probably one of the stronger non-big 6 centre-back pairings we've got in the league. So I think the defensive structure, the home form.
They have a very good back line. Pinnock there.
And left back.
I know. I literally know the face. I can't think.
It used to be United back in the day. Henry.
What the hell was his first name?
I've gone totally blank. But he played a great... Rico Henry from left back last year was superb. Yeah. But I think, yes, their back line, home form, and hopefully some goals over Mbemba keep them in that mid-table for me.
As if they have Strakosha as their...
Yeah.
Currently third.
Third keeper, Seko, yeah. 11th, what do you guys got?
Brighton.
Big drop off on Brighton. Let's hear it, because I
don't know some interesting ones about Brighton. Have you said Burnley yet?
Yeah.
Go on.
I've gone Brighton 11th. I just think they have a drop off. We're talking about 2 staples, and we're not talking about 2. We're talking about 2 blokes that are going to go start for Liverpool and Chelsea, who are one of the best teams in the world, let alone England. So, and literally will start with, maybe not Caicedo because it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
But we know McAllister's going to start match day 1, and Caicedo will eventually start. They don't really have an out-and-out DM
if
Chelsea.
If 100% goes.
Yeah.
Sorry? If he 100% goes.
Well, Chelsea don't really have a DM.
They're going to closes soon,
Chukwuemeka and Enzo at the door.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't close for 3 weeks.
Nah, it does close.
We're having a look at this.
Second week of the season's when it closes.
I thought it was like a different international window.
That's what we
thought as well.
It must have been different.
But then I was remember last year with Casemiro came late.
It's also Premier League as well. So even then, it was the second of the 2.
It differs in small things.
Yeah, so I just think that would drop. I don't think that's a huge drop.
It's still a very good season.
When you look at the teams, really, there's a big 7 now if you're including Tottenham in that. And then. I don't know. I don't want to spoil otherwise, but there's a couple other teams that
around the place.
The place. I think that between 9th, 10th, 11th, even 8th,
could be 3 or 4 points.
Yeah,
really,
could be really close.
Yeah,
I think then there'll be obviously a big
jump off.
Jump off. So that's my theory behind it. I just think that they'll have a drop off, and I think a small drop off at that point is just such a huge drop off in terms of places.
Yeah,
I don't think their points will be so they're not gonna have 15 points less.
No,
But I think they might have 8 points less, 9 points, which will be such a big drop off this year.
I feel like that's a success for them though, where they're at. And you're 11th, Flynn.
On Palace.
Yeah.
Assuming their squad stays roughly the same. If they keep playing pretty expansive, given Elise and Eze a bit of free will to do as they want, I think they'll create enough. I thought when Hodgson came in, they look like a completely different side. I thought Vieira, as you said, was so stiff to get the sack. He took them through the toughest run a club can face.
Big
6 all big 6 clubs within 8 weeks or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And he finally gets to the end of it, gets the sack, and they suddenly start seeing miraculous things out of Eze and Elise. Yeah. So look, and even as you said, Mateta was looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't think nothing crazy. I think Palace will sort of stay around where they usually seem to stay. Yeah. I mean, the last 5
no one put in 12. That's remarkable.
Unbelievable.
No Palace in 12 positions.
So I'm gonna have Palace 11th.
Perfect. And 10th place. I'll kick us off. So to start the top up, I'm going Forest. I'm big on Steve Cooper. Like you said last
year. Big season for them.
Yeah, I looking back, that's probably the greatest call that's been said in this podcast that you said last year, Tots. If they get through last season, they'll be fine. And I feel like you're right. They should be fine. There's some nice pieces added here and there. Which said last week, the Langas of the world. He can help out back up to the Dennises, the Johnsons. feel like Johnson have another big year. He had a good year last year, but I feel like he can have another big year this year. They've got rid of a lot of sort of dead weight amongst that team. That home ground's a fortress for them. The city grounds, that place is buzzing most weeks, no matter who comes to town. So the home form will be big for them. You saw it to the back end of the season. They got it clicking a little bit as well. You sort of saw them put it all together. If Navas comes back as well, even a bigger deal as well, or you get Henderson back, either or. Still two quality keepers. You got Felipe at the back, a rock at the back there. And the midfield sort of coming together nicely.
Renan Lottie as well.
Renan Lottie's there. And you've also got Morgan Gibbs-White, who just won the under-23s with England. He was vital for that. So there's quality players all over the pitch. And I feel like Steve Cooper did so well the year before in the championship with a squad, not just random players. Now he's got a squad again. I feel like they'll go well this season.
A very decent squad.
Yeah.
I've gone West Ham.
All the way up.
He's just
Big
changed
10th.
it again.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I thought I put him. I didn't.
You should show them.
count
You
it.
should show them what you wrote down. You just changed it again.
I'll show you what I wrote.
No,
down.
that's not a date. But you
Look,
Yeah.
where's West Ham?
Oh, now he's just edited it.
I didn't edit it. I didn't put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just thought it looked like they were 8. Okay, so listen, no, I didn't edit
West
it.
Ham at 10th.
Yeah, so West Ham at 10th. I am a big believer that they'll come good this year. This is more.
Sign players. They're going to
Nah, this is more.
Players they're not linked.
This side here is more from the heart. Okay,
It's a passion
This side here, I don't know why.
I said that with Burnley.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm telling you, they're going to do it.
You're
Like,
going Moisey.
come back, and
Moise
I reckon they could finish as high as 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th.
When they're last, when we do it again, in 4 weeks, 5 weeks time, whatever it is, when they're last, what are you going to say?
Don't worry about where they are in 5 weeks' time. Worry where they are. Match week 38. Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So-
and is you reckon just because there will be signings, or is it just because they'll just
A bit of
work it
both.
out?
I think the players they've got still show quality, enough quality, probably not enough to finish 10th without signings,
Yeah.
but I think definitely enough to finish like the 12th margin without signings.
And
then I think they're going to get someone. Like,
do you reckon they will just bin off the Europa League, just not bother with it?
I'm not really too sure, but I think they're going to get someone like I can't see even the likes of if United are going to sign Amrabat.
Someone has to go.
What is
has to go,
McTominay
right?
doing there?
Yeah.
Like they're going to have 5, 6 midfielders, and McTominay's the type of person he wants to be on the park. Come on,
no.
McTominay's
passion
the passion.
merchant.
He is the passion
He is the
merchant.
passion
This one
merchant.
snap someone.
Yeah, exactly. He is the passion merchant. So he's going to be raring to go. And I think in the end, with the money they got from Rice, they don't want to spend it all. You can see that very clearly. But I think chucking 20, 25 million on it, how much really are you going to need from McTominay? 25?
Probably 20 million, I reckon. 20 million will
Yes,
get you
exactly.
the
So
deal,
that's
Fair
that's where it comes from.
yeah, fair.
I've gone in 10th. Let me just double check. Yeah, cool. I've gone Fulham at 10th.
Nice,
So
yeah.
even though it was weird, I feel like so many of these clubs are going to underperform their last year. Because I think when we get to the top 8, 9 are going to just
Separate
be really
themselves.
strong against these guys. They're going to struggle to pick up points here and there. But I still think that they have assuming Mitro stays and plays, I think that they'll just sort of kick on from where they were last year. I think Pellegrini is so important
So
to that
important
team.
to them,
I think he's so solid defensively. Andreas Pereira, had a good year. Bernard Leno is the type of guy I don't think it was just form last year. I think, Bernard Leno showed what he'd been doing at Arsenal for years. He is such a good shot stopper. We just had to, it was just unfortunate that he was the sort of
Scapegoat almost,
bit of a scapegoat at Arsenal during the time. And nothing too crazy. I just think that they'll continue to play the way they want to play. And their good players will be able to maintain the level they had last year. So I just think they're just genuinely good players and they weren't playing out of their skin. So
perfect.
10th place, I think they'll just sort of be around that spot.
Okay.
Proper top half down 9th. Who have you guys got?
I've got Nottingham Forest.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not against it. I got him 10th, but
He's got him 10th. So
tell me why. Tell me why.
I'm
Tell me why.
saying it's
It just feels, because it's not.
I've been a big believer, and I've seen it so many times in the Premier League. Those clubs that bring in so many players that are quality, because the players they brought in were quality. The problem was they brought in 30 players. How do you put that into a team? The team was changing every week. Then they had all these players. They've done similar on a similar thing to what Chelsea has done, and everyone's agreeing that Chelsea's got to fly back up the table.
Yep.
So.
Why can't
Forest? Obviously, Forest aren't going to fly to where Chelsea are going to fly. But in retrospect to where they were last year, to where Chelsea were, they're both going to fly like that.
Yeah.
Probably have about the same gap
Yeah.
But they're both going to fall. You get through that year, the hardest year where you bring in all those signings.
Yeah.
And then, not just saying that, they've also brought in some quality signings this window as well.
Yeah, decent signings, yeah.
Like,
100%.
as you said, the Alangas and that defence. Oh, I don't know what's happened with Keylor Navas there either.
He's not there currently, but like the PSG want him back. They've just signed another keeper
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
So
Their defence is quality.
Yeah.
Donnarumma's still in the 24 apparently.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's still 19.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so
So you're ninth.
I got him in ninth.
Perfect. And you're ninth, Flair.
I have got Brighton at ninth.
Perfect. 'Cause
So, yeah,
Both
look,
got him, yeah.
I mean, I honestly don't think Alexis McAllister is that big of a loss, and I also don't think he's going to do that well at Liverpool.
Easy take for week one.
I think Pascal Gross can easily play in that midfield position. He did it at the start of the year. He was playing so well at the start of the year. Look, if they lose Caicedo as well, that'd certainly change the dynamic a little bit. But they just have a knack of, like, at the moment, of just finding these gems. And, you know, they're really just going to be looking for a ball player in the midfield. I feel like a ball player is reasonably easy to find. You know, even if they're a little bit defensively frail, I think they'll be able to replace McAllister's sort of role as a deep lying ball playing midfielder who progresses on a little bit reasonably easy. I think, who's their big boy up top?
Pedro.
No, the
Irish young bloke.
Ferguson. I think Ferguson will have a good. I think Ferguson looks like an absolute gem.
Yeah,
he'll
5-year deal as well.
Evan Ferguson. I think Danny Welbeck, is a role player. Matoma's a beast.
Big goals, yeah.
They just have talent everywhere.
Ciso could kick on.
Yeah, and Ciso. They got so many through that sort of Cam 10 role.
And Ciso's your McAllister, basically.
Solly March on the right. Like, these guys have so much talent. They're super solid at the back. And they're committed to playing the way they want to play as well. So, unfortunately, I just think it's so hard to crack into that top few.
Yeah.
But, I say top few, top like half almost. But I think they'll certainly separate themselves from that bottom half of the table. I think they'll be sticking around 10th to 8th or even 7th the whole season. And I wouldn't be surprised if they finish in European spots.
Yeah, like they could do it. I just think the biggest loss for me, like, it's gonna have to be Levi Cole at the back, right? That's a pacey centre back. I thought did I write it down? They've got this the Brazilian centre back, Igor from Fiorentina. He's a similar sort of stronger. Yeah, he's a similar sort of stronger. He's a bigger builder, but I think the thing with Cole, he could play with his feet. And he was quick. Yeah. No wonder Poch wants him, and I think he'll be starting at some point this year for Chelsea.
I reckon he'll start match week 1.
I think that's the biggest loss for them. Like, obviously, Caicedo if he goes, but I'm assuming because Sanchez is gone and they've got McAllister out, they can maybe keep Caicedo for one more year. Yeah. If they do, that changes things. Right? If Caicedo goes, I think they go much lower. But for me, 9th is probably where they stick. Europa League.
I think they're pretty good defensively. They've still got Lewis Dunn. They've still got Veltman. They've still got
Lamptey's there right back.
Yeah, like these guys are still reasonably solid.
Dunk's a great centre back.
Yeah, they got Dunk and
Veltman.
No, not Veltman. Who is the? They have another main main point in their defense. What is his name?
Webster.
Yeah, Webster's a beast as well. Webster's good at ball playing.
And they got a stupid
we said that.
But
he's just Webster's a little bit injury prone.
This Igor Brazilian guy from Fiorentina is like a difference. Is like really strong and more like a Martinez, a really aggressive type centre back that goes in for tackle, tries to smack the people. So
pre-season,
yeah, a bit more exciting to see some of that.
Pre-season.
But then like João Pedro up front, good get.
Look, I think Brighton will be fine.
I think that's
De Zerbi is a great manager. I think
11 old goals last year. They play nice football. They score goals. Dahoud and Milner in the midfield as well to reinforce that as well.
That's on Dahoud.
Dahoud came on a free. So there's your ball playing within C.
That's why Caicedo's going to leave.
I don't think if you can keep Caicedo, that's enough depth to go Europe and Prem. That's how I got him in 9th. If Caicedo stays and those two are there as well,
yeah, maybe
there's your Prem 9th.
I'm telling you, most underrated player in the league. He'll be a gem.
8th
he
place
is old now though.
Yeah,
are we all agreeing here on one?
8th.
Yeah. Tottenham.
I got Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah. Really?
All Spurs? Good. That's our first one. All going with 8. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Can I just before we start? I was going to say, I think Ange, like Moyes, this is a really tough job. Because if he doesn't get 3 wins or from the first 6 or 5 games, I reckon there's a lot of pressure. Not because he's a bad manager, but because he's come from Celtic, a 2-team league.
It's so tough.
He's Australian.
Yeah.
Harry Kane, where the hell's he going? It's all going to come to a front in 5 weeks' time at the international break. If they haven't got 3 wins, I reckon his head's on the chopping block, and that's about it.
I'm a bit weird with Spurs because I'm a big believer that Ange is going to do a good job, but I just don't know how.
Does he get the time?
I just don't know how I put him. The reason I put Spurs 8th is I just don't know how I put them
Above everyone else. Yeah, I
the
know,
other 17.
I know,
Look,
I know.
if this was any other league,
yeah.
I'd put them like 6. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how the teams, the 7
Yeah,
I've
I
got
agree,
above,
I agree.
how I think it's actually impossible.
Literally 2 years ago, they would have been 6th. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Literally 2 years ago. Like, you know,
I think you'll do a
like
good
when
job, but-
Arsenal were so bad. Okay, we finished 8th, right? But that just shows how, like, over these last few years,
The league is-
we can't, you know, because everyone would have predicted them 6th. I feel like Arsenal were always predicted 6th when they were bad.
Because it was
it's
just
like
the spot to be.
But it just showed that like it's now not a 6 like you know big 6 team league anymore.
I just think.
There was 7 teams.
But this is where I think it's a par year. It's not a bad year if
It's
Poch
not,
finishes
but all the fans are going to get on his back.
No,
because
you're
of
right, but I
the
don't think it's a bad
stigmas
year.
behind where
You
he
look at the
comes from.
squads of the other 7 teams, and we've all got the exact same 7 teams because none of them have been said.
I think we all have.
We've all got the exact same 7 teams
Yeah.
because none of them have been said. Okay?
I think a big signing Fabrizio did it announced yesterday. Van der Ven from Wolfsburg for 40 million. He's a proper like fullback, centre back. Like hasn't played in a 5-back. Hasn't played in this. He plays as a 4, not with
I know.
support. So that's the first good step.
I want to put it wouldn't surprise me if Spurs finish like 6, maybe even 5th. I think Poch is going to have a really good year.
That's a good movement forward. He
I
needs
think-
signings
yeah.
that play the 4,
But do you know
3-3.
Do you know
I
what's
think
funny though?
what?
So you say like if they finish 5th or 6th, it's like a really good year for Ange.
Yeah.
And I agree, which is crazy.
But the
If
fans
they
won't think
finish-
that.
Yeah, I know. It's really unfortunate because if they finish outside the Champions League, and I don't even think the fans, I think Daniel Levy is going to be like,
Just cut the.
I think he'll be like, oh, you have to finish top 4.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's ridiculous.
I agree, but I just think they're like, I honestly think if they finish 5th or 6th, that is a great
a remarkable
year.
season.
Oh,
If
outstanding.
they can finish above any of the teams, I mean, one of them maybe.
Yeah, we've all got the one that maybe.
Yeah.
For me, Villa. For me, it's Villa.
Because
If they finish above
they've
Villa,
got Europe as well.
I
so
think they
it's
should be expected to finish above Villa.
Yeah.
I think Villa will outperform them. But other than that, if they can finish above the other 6 teams that I got above them, besides Villa, then I think like that'd be
remarkable.
an outstanding season because I can't see how these teams do worse than Spurs, who are in such a terrible point right now.
Yeah.
So
Do we all agree though that we've got him having Harry Kane there? Because if Harry Kane's not there for me, I reckon I'd drop him further down.
Nah, I'm still going to 8th.
Yeah, I still got
Okay.
8th.
If Kane leaves or goes, I think they stay 8th.
Yeah, same.
Actually, if Kane stays, I'd probably have him above Villa, who are my 7th.
Yeah, same with me.
But I was kind of leaning towards Kane leaving.
And like how important? I reckon Madison's be pretty important. No matter if Kane stays or if not, because I feel like that could be like a link that could help things, right? Like the Lo Celso's and the Madisons of the world who can actually link the midfield to the forward line.
Yeah,
Because playing 5-back, there was no real link. Last season, I think it felt like Tottenham were just hollow. That's why Kane dropped so deep, right? Because it just felt hollow, that midfield.
I think they've got enough quality though.
Bentancur comes back,
Like
Lo
if they've
Celso,
got Bentancur,
Madison.
Madison, Son, Kane, Kulusevski,
Like,
they've
on
got
paper,
enough
there's talent there.
They've got enough quality there. To
Does the system
to
work,
go
though?
on and maybe finish about 5th, but I just don't see a world where they finish top 4.
But it means that the guys above them have to underperform again. And I just don't see that happening.
I think it's been so important that they just don't look so bad defensive because what it's seen in pre-season, the defense does not work. Vicario and goal, I don't think right now is the right guy.
I can't believe
Why don't they
they're
sign
not
like a
into
Robert?
Raya.
I don't get it.
I cannot believe they're not.
I don't get Raya, Sanchez.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
De Gea is a free agent right
Yeah,
now.
De Gea's a free.
Nah, look, I mean,
But then De Gea's probably like,
not the
if they were going to do De Gea,
Yeah,
they might as well have kept Lloris. Like,
But I just think right now it's a lot's going to depend on how the defense is and how it connects to the midfield because the midfield's super good. It's ball carrying. It's probably not as great defensively, but going that way, their front 6 players, great. The back 4, I'm worried about. This is a good signing. The Van der Ven sign is good because it actually plays in a 4, but you need another centre back to help him out. I don't think Davinson Sanchez is the way going forward. He's too mistake prone. You
we got
know,
Romero still.
yeah,
both
I mean,
mistake
even
prone.
Romero.
I think
I think
was that
Romero
good last year.
Yeah, but you've seen it so many times with centre backs. You put people decent next to them, they look a lot better.
Yeah. We'll see where they go. But I think,
Like,
8th, 9th is where they're
When
going.
you have Eric Dyer or Sanchez next to Romero, like you look at Romero when he played at
Ben
Argentina.
Davies. Yeah, it's good. Ben Davies.
Romero in Argentina when he brought in his aggression and stuff, he was good. Like no one was getting past him.
Yeah. But they got good fullbacks
I mean,
as well at Argentina.
I just think, it's going to be hard to.
And just like Moyes ain't got to be uphill battle this time.
Such.
So do we have a 7?
We'll have 7 Aston Villa.
So
the only thing, like you said, that could make him drop down is the whole European thing. So how much they put into, because Conference League, that's almost a certified
who have
win
they
for
signed?
an
They've
English team.
signed.
Diaby.
So So Diaby's come to replace basically Leon Bailey.
Torres.
Pau Torres.
They're two
But
ripper
I'm
signings.
sorry.
Pau Torres is
But I'm
a big
sorry.
sign.
You got Pau Torres and Diego Carlos as centre back. That
And like Mings as
pairing
a
is
backup.
Yeah, Mings back up.
incredible. Manny
Lucas
Cash plays
Digne.
right back. Lucas Digne. I'm not as big on him, but you guys love him. So
What's his name? Fonza.
Konza.
Konza.
What's his first name?
Oh no, you got us.
Eric?
No, it's
Nah,
not.
it's a weird ass name.
It's like
But-
M3 Fonza or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Konza.
I was supposed to like Eric Konza.
Yeah, that's what yeah, but they got Konza there as well.
Yeah, Konza.
Douglas Luiz was really good last year.
Yeah.
John McGinn, obviously.
Esri
yeah,
Konza.
Esri Konza. Yeah, true.
Yeah, like they got such good players.
Yeah, and Ollie Watkins, obviously, under Unai looked
He's
insane.
incredible. He's a proper
So
ball
look,
under him.
me with Villa is like a little bit...
Tillemans as well.
Derby.
Yeah, Tillemans.
Tillemans.
Me with Villa is a little bit like... One, their squad looks really good. And two, I think Unai can get them playing really well.
Unai knows Prem ball, right? Like he knows how to play it.
I just also think it's like a little bit just stupid to think, Big Seven is going to finish top seven. Like,
Yeah, it's
Villa could genuinely just finish higher than that. It's just, like my brain doesn't let me say,
Yeah, same
these
with
guys
me.
aren't finishing. You know what I mean? Like, as in,
I know what you mean.
Villa, I honestly think Villa could finish top six for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely rate them a lot higher than Brighton in terms of like
think they're-
the ability to progress through the ranks.
Their depth there is better than those teams around that area.
Yeah.
And I'd even say some of the top six teams, like their second 11 to some of the bigger than some of like the Tottenham backup teams, even the United backup team. I think they've got a better second in line.
I think Villa fans would be super optimistic.
I'd be
about
pumped
year.
about this
Yeah,
season,
like,
yeah.
like I think if I had that little bit of bias in me to lean, which was like push them up a little bit, I think you'd be saying, we're getting fifth, bro.
Yeah,
We're going to push top four.
Like I can
because
it could
top
be
four isn't even clear cut.
Do
It's
they-
like
do they really though have that much worse of a team than Newcastle?
that's the thing that I think
you could call this
could
Villa,
argue
no,
with
you
that.
could call
You could-
this Villa team Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't
Yeah.
think much different.
Yeah, no.
Because Chelsea, bro, Villa would sign the same players Chelsea have signed. Like Chelsea have players in there who you wouldn't be surprised if Villa picked up. But it's because it's Chelsea and they've got Poch
prestige,
now, and
yeah.
it's like
That's what I'm
Like-
saying. Like, but if you actually look at the signings that Newcastle
I'm saying.
made,
I
everyone
don't-
goes Newcastle, and okay, we say that because
no, it's the
last
same.
season-
Bro,
We've
it's the
seen it,
same
yeah,
thing. It's
we've
the
seen
same.
it,
It's
yeah.
the
I
same
don't,
thing.
I don't know, but I'm saying in
as-
terms of their starting 11, I don't think Newcastle or Aston Villa have much different of the starting
there isn't
11.
much,
and
but-
that's why you'll see it in my
there's
rankings.
much- yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the only thing with Newcastle, because I've already done it, it's just sort of that recency bias that you sort of have to put them ahead. But I think what's so undervalued is the amount of depth. Each position always has a replacement that's as good that
Yeah.
could play in a Conference League game on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
They'll probably win that. And do they win a domestic trophy? I think that's for me. There could be a double in line for
Fair
Villa
enough.
this year, similar to how United almost went for a
We've
long
got
year.
Villa at 7th.
So 6. I think we might have the same one. I've gone Newcastle.
I've gone
I
Newcastle.
got Newcastle. Oh,
Newcastle.
I got Newcastle.
Oh, but we
Newcastle.
got smashed in this area.
So
Tell me
my
Newcastle.
reasoning behind Newcastle was that once again, I just think it's going to be so hard to replicate, just to compete with the guys
Yeah.
above them.
Well, you look at-
I don't think they're going to have a bad year. And to be honest, they could finish top 4 again easily.
Yeah, could fall in
Like,
line again.
They just literally battered Spurs at the end of the season. 5 goals in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, who we think are going to finish around them? I just think that I think the top 4 is going to be so competitive this year again.
Super hard to get into.
And I think there could be 10 points between 8th and 3rd.
Could,
Right.
yeah.
Like,
I think the top
think it could
2 are...
a clear.
No, I'd say the top 2 are like... they're 1 and 2 100%, whereas 3rd to
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
6, maybe
I think,
7.
I think the points differential would be bigger than you think. Really.
So, what are my reasons for Newcastle not being at the top? I think maybe they're just going to lack a little bit of quality up top. Isaac's obviously good. Callum Wilson can obviously finish,
Harvey
but they
Barnes.
don't really
Yeah,
have
Harvey Barnes isn't that
like Harvey
great.
Barnes just got relegated with Leicester. I hate to say that, but it's in like they're not
It's the honest truth,
they're not the wingers that the guys above them have.
Yep.
Like so, and that is just like the reality of the situation. As good as these guys may be, Almiron had a really good purple patch, whereas the best players have bad 6 weeks. They might have a bad 6 weeks, whereas Newcastle get their players to perform 6 or 7 weeks a year, which can get them those points. I think.
I think it's underappreciated the Champions League thing as well.
Yeah,
the
100%.
fans are going to want them to go for it. So Eddie Howe's going to try and stretch his squad to different lengths he hasn't seen before. You're going to see other different players.
You can't prepare
appearing.
as well. You don't get as long a break. Yeah, it takes its toll.
It's going to take its toll.
We'll
Like,
get
but-
more injuries
As you
because of
can
that.
see with us last year, I think had we had no Europe football at all last year,
different
it would have
story.
been a different year.
Yeah.
But,
the Joel Lynch's of the world have to lift again because you can't just. I feel like to be in the top 4 now, you have to keep improving.
Like getting
new players come in. You need to keep lifting. Joel Lynch needs to go again to another level. Can you do that?
And he was,
That's the question.
he was already so much better last year.
Yeah, I'm on the same thing. Like, you look at Newcastle and you look at their squad, it looks to me more like that everyone overperformed. Not that much, but like they overperformed to a degree that if you look at their players, are they going to be able to match with the teams above them, like the Chelseas, the Liverpools and stuff. And you'd expect that Chelsea and Liverpool are going to have a better season than they did. They were poor last year.
Obviously, they finished 12th and 8th.
If they had a good season, if they had a good season last year, would Newcastle have finished any higher than 6?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm assuming these teams all perform, and I think Newcastle's average performance is going to be worse than the guys that got above them. That's just, I think that's the best way to say it.
You got a lot on Anthony Gordon. You got a lot on like the midfield brigade to do well. Like
I think
Gordon, your Barnes.
I think you nailed it with like Joel Linton. I think
that's sort of the player. Yeah.
Joel Linton, who was a player who, I mean, maybe that's just his base level form, and he was just so underperforming so bad before. Yeah. But I think like you're going to need more from these guys who already shot up such a high level last year. To continue, I mean, they're going to have to be so solid defensively.
They've seen it in pre-season. Like Elliot Anderson, who's a youth guy, has had to play a lot of minutes in pre-season. I think that's Eddie Howe saying, I'm going to need depth, so I'm trying this kid out. He's been impressive, but can you do it after backing up, coming off the bench and on Tuesday night to go play Saturday against Chelsea? I mean, that's just
at what point is with Newcastle as well? Does like a few losses start putting a bit of pressure on Eddie Howe? At what point do they start operating like a big club in the sense that big clubs you can't tolerate bad streaks of form for too long.
Yep.
So, and no one can can believe that Newcastle's going to be perfect the whole year, the whole year round. That's not going to be the case. No. Like every team goes through bad and good patches, and how many more years is it going to be? How much more millions of investment are they going to require for pressure to start? Yeah. For Eddie Howe's, for the pressure on the club and the coaching team and the players to get to the level where it is for all the other big clubs.
Yeah.
Because that has been removed thus far.
Yep.
The fans have been giving them like a free roll. Yep. The board's been splashing the cash, giving them all the investment they require. At what point does that change and does it start becoming like you need to perform for this to keep occurring?
I think just rounding up and building on that, I think it's this year we want to the fans are going to want a trophy.
Is it this year? Next year? I don't know. But that's going to start creeping around the corner.
Is it we need to go another step longer in the Carabao Cup?
No, I don't know. I agree. But I think it's going to be getting that way.
Listening to the Toon podcast and the guys that come and guess on the...
True Geordie.
I listen to these guys and they jump up and this guy's like, we've given them a free run, but this year we want to go one step further. The fans want it. And the fans
want
speak.
to, but I don't think they expect it.
What I've heard, I beg to differ.
I think they expect to still keep their spot in the top 4.
Not to sack Eddie Howe, but that the next season it's going to have to be, we're going to have to spend to elevate ourselves into position. We'll go on to 5th. I've got Chelsea.
5th, goodness me.
And I just think it's going to be a big turnaround, but it's not going to come instantly. And I feel like despite the summer series, winning that trophy, whatever it is, it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be a quick, easy fix. I'm impressed by the pickups. Jackson up front looks like the real deal so far. And I know it's pre-season, but you played against Premier League teams. You played against the Villas. You played against Brighton. You played against Brentford. They're all in that region of solid teams. Yeah. Kunku's injury, I don't know how long it is, but that could be detrimental to their start of the season, that ankle injury. That could screw everything up. I have no idea. I've heard anything about that so far, but he looked really good in pre-season.
I didn't think it was going to be that long, from my understanding.
But I think you need him there from the start because they need this continuity. They need this good train, good vibes rolling on because there was a great pre-season. Cole at the back, a light look of, I think, him and Thiago Silva were a good starting pairing. Obviously, the depth in the midfield probably is lacking right now. Caicedo fixes that, but Chukwuemeka looked alright in pre-season, looked good towards the back of last season. How does he go consistently week in, week out playing? God knows, we have to find that out. Sterling, I think, needs another big lift. Talking about people need a lift. Sterling needs a lift. He's come from a championship winning team. Can he do it on his own, realistically? Because Madueke looked decent as well, but there's players there, right? But it's going to take time. Poch can't just get it going like that, snap, and they're going well. So I think give them 5 weeks. If they can get 2 wins and maybe in a draw from the first 5, I think that'd be a good start, and they'll kick on from the rest of the season.
After a run of us all agreeing.
You're going to disagree.
I've also disagreed.
I'm disagreeing. I'm going Liverpool.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going Liverpool is, so they brought in 2 signings. they're getting rid of Fabinho and Henderson. Okay, I know their two signings they brought in are going to be better players due to youthfulness and due to other aspects than Fabinho and Henderson. But it's not like they've completely bolstered the squad, brought in squad depth or anything, especially in that midfield role. Like, they've even got rid of Milner, so really they've got rid of 3 midfielders, brought in 2. I know that's like old dead wood.
No, but it's still important.
And that's the 2 signings. That's the only 2 signings they made. Like, I think they'll have a better year than they did last year. But with the competitiveness of the Premier League, I don't see a way how they're gonna like start. They're still gonna have their drops of points. Like, you look at their defense last year, I don't see how that they'll probably have like Van Dijk have a bit better of a year. Trent's looks like he's rejuvenized at the end of the year. So like, but yeah, I don't think, like, as you said before, you go on about McAllister not being a great player. Then you got
I wasn't
not being a great player. So he's not gonna have a great time at Liverpool.
I don't think he'll necessarily fill the hole they need filling.
Yeah, exactly. So then you got Sobolowski, whatever his name is.
Same again.
Exactly. So if they're both not going to fill the hole, you're basically expecting, because of their amazing front line, they got the reminiscence a bit to me of a better version of a Spurs. Great front line, but
that's a fair judgment because the midfield.
Coach who's done it before, though.
No, I know. Their coach is obviously, but that's why Spurs are 8th and Liverpool are
coach.
5th. I thought Liverpool 5th.
You know what? That's a fair call.
They got an amazing front, like 5-6 players. But again, we're looking at the people like, okay, Gakpo hasn't performed that in Premier League level yet.
Wasn't bad. Came pretty good.
Nunez hasn't
shown a lot of preseason. Also, like,
so have so many people showing stuff in preseason though. Preseason's a bit like Joe Hugel showed a lot in preseason. You probably don't even know who that is.
No, I didn't know about him.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
is your academy prospect?
That's what I'm saying. But he's not even going to play a minute. Yeah. He showed a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm not taking. You look at preseason. United lose 3 on the trot. We beat you. They're not even. That's not even a reminiscence of anything.
But see, we don't take preseason seriously. You guys don't play preseason games.
Oh, but everyone takes preseason the same. It's just how you say it in the media.
I'm taking this, but
like, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna hit that top 4 like very easily. I'm putting them 5th, which means very easily they could finish 4th, 3rd. They could finish 6th, 7th. But so it's not like it's a long shot for them to make top 4. I just don't think that they're going to improve to the depths that everyone else thinks they're going to improve. They're just, to me, got such a good front 3. And then everyone looks at, like, I've heard a lot of people say as well, I don't know about you guys, you heard it on podcasts, and go, but Salah still last year, okay, he started the year. The bloke still had 30 goal contributions.
But that's the point, though. He underperformed last year.
But
and he was a top 3 goal. It was like a top 3 goals.
He's getting on now.
No,
I think he'll have a year the same as last year.
No, but
that should be enough this year, though.
That's the point, though, Todd. That's the point. Anyway, so in my 5th, I have gone. This is Manchester United we're talking about. I've gone United.
Yeah.
I've gone, but there's this is so tough. I'm doing that, and I'm like, I don't really believe it. I don't know.
Someone has to go there.
I don't know.
Someone has to land in that spot.
I don't rate your signings at all. Like,
obviously, you're not alone there. Some people don't like them.
I think Mason has a horrible signing. I think that signing makes absolutely no sense. He hasn't shown anything last year.
I thought the same thing until I understood something.
You came to a divine intervention.
Realization.
Divine intervention. Did you have a chat with him?
I don't realise.
Ten Hag and him at the time.
I agreed 100%. But after they've gone and signed Rejan and Onana, I still think, and it looks like we're going to get Amrabat as well.
Yeah. What does
Mount signing doesn't?
What does Mount offer you?
I just don't think it's as silly as everyone else makes it out.
What's the offer? What does it offer?
I'll tell you why. Let me
couldn't you spend that money on Højlund and Mount and go get like Osimhen or go get a good striker? You know, someone's going to perform now. Because I don't think you're that far away.
The Mount signing hasn't been slandered as much as you think. People are backing the Mount signing. It's other signings that people
I'm going to tell you why. I'm not sure if this works, but what I've looked at is, with the Onana signing, the Højlund signing, and the Mount signing, it looks like there's a literal clear path in the positions that Ten Hag has brought in of how Ten Hag wants to play. So he's brought in Onana first.
I don't disagree with that.
Mount as well, because
what does Mount offer your team, bro?
It's an improvement on Eriksen, who plays that same position. And he wants to improve.
But Mount and Ericsson were both not cut out for the position. That's the point. Is that
So then we have to bring in someone else then. But like,
yeah, but that's what I'm. Look, in my head, I know you guys are much more United than me, but in my head, Bruno plays 10. You need,
but I think Bruno's going to play 10.
And
there's going to be like an interchange between him and
you need
Mount.
like a De Jong. Like you don't need like an Ericsson was like a makeshift player for that role, and then Mount is a more attacking player who's worse defensively at that role.
But Mount played a lot of 8s as well at Chelsea. I think people don't understand that.
But he was good at 10. He was good at 10.
The problem.
Like the point is that
I know you're going to say that. But like
the point is that Mason Mount excelled as a 10.
Yeah.
And when he didn't
but
play
I think
there,
they're going to play like was interchanging 8-10.
No, look.
I just be standalone. Like I'm 8, you're 10.
No. I know. And actually, thankfully for you guys, Bruno's decently capable of dropping back there. But I just don't like. I just don't think you're going to get enough out of your attacking output. You
sold no one and brought in 4 players.
Yeah, but I don't think the 4 players benefit your team that much.
So you think Onana better than De Gea?
I think Onana's marginally better than De Gea for your team.
Do you think Højlund's better than having no striker?
I think Martial's better than Højlund when he plays.
Yeah, but Martial doesn't play, so...
Yeah, but that's my point, though. I don't think Højlund... I don't think he offers you that much this
year.
You
know what?
I think he'll be fine in 4 years' time or whatever. But I'm saying is in this year, I think Rashford played out of his skin and scored like how many goals?
25 comps like that.
In Prem.
Oh,
18.
Like 18, yeah.
Yeah, scored, he played out of his skin and he scored 18 goals, which is good, but it wasn't 20 goals.
Yeah, no,
like
Haaland. Yeah.
I think Anthony is so meh. Sancho doesn't look in your plans. Højlund's 20 years old.
Number 9. Yeah, Sancho's our backup number 9.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but look, I just
no, it's fair because it doesn't look like it makes any sense.
I just don't know. I thought Luke Shaw had to play pretty good last year, and he can probably do the same this year. But I just don't think you'll kick on next year. Whereas I think the other I think Chelsea and Liverpool, who have obviously got above you, are going to be
better.
I think I'll get to them.
Our Liverpool signings.
It's fine.
Compared to United signings is any better.
But I'll tell you why I think Liverpool are going to be better next year.
You're hoping that Liverpool's players that didn't play well.
Should I get onto it straight now?
No,
but you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We'll naturally get onto it.
You're saying that Liverpool's signings are not their signings aren't better, but you're saying
we'll get there.
We're in Fergie time, so
we'll get there. We'll get there. So it means your 4th place is who, Tots?
Mine?
Yeah.
United.
Chelsea.
Oh. What have you got?
I've got United at 4th.
And I've got Liverpool at 4th.
This is going to confuse you.
So
you've got okay. I see what you're.
So let me tell you what I got Liverpool at 4th.
Okay, yeah.
And why we're United.
This makes sense now. Yeah.
So I just think that they had such an off year last year, and even though I don't think they've replaced the holes they need to fully replace, I think the lack of like a proper DM is all they're really away from challenging for the title.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool are so close. I think they have so much attacking threat. I think Alisson is the best keeper in the world. I think their defense underperformed so hard last year, and they weren't that far off Liverpool. They came so hard at the end. They brought in McAllister, who will play every week. I don't think is necessarily what they needed 100%. Same as Szoboszlai, however you pronounce his name. I don't think he was 100% what they needed.
Yeah.
But I just think that Klopp has proven he's like one of the best top 3 managers in the world, and I just think that they will be like super solid at Anfield, batter the teams who are bad, and then pick up enough points away from home against solid teams to outperform you guys. I think it'll be really close. I just have a hunch towards that you guys are going to slightly underperform expectation.
Yeah,
and that they will be about where it's expected and get enough points to
I understand what you're saying, because what you're saying is you're saying more from the point of view that Liverpool's like key players underperformed, whereas United didn't really have key players underperform.
Yeah, like I said, you got in Casemiro and he played well.
Martinez played well,
Rashford played out of his skin.
Yeah.
Bruno played pretty well.
And where did we finish there?
Whereas I think for them is that they had Van Dijk was so meh. Trent had such a bad start to the year. Robbo was he was getting dropped for Tsimikas at one point.
Robbo didn't really get much better as the year went on.
No, but this is what I'm saying. I think
he had a whole bad year. We're not talking about a little bit of form. Is he actually going to have a good year this year?
No, but we're talking about.
With Trent, you can see it.
Andy
Look at
Robertson,
Rashford. Rashford, we're not talking about form. He had a whole bad year. Was good again. Had a bad year. Was good again.
Injured a lot that season.
What if Robbo was injured?
Robbo is a Champions League winner.
He's one of the greatest
Premier League winner.
Currently
He is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
When he's good. And I just think that they'll fix some things up defensively.
Yeah.
Trent might play a bit more of that midfielder. I don't know how they're going to do it. I haven't been watching heaps of pre-season, but I just think that their team, like on paper, is like there's too many goals there to not batter teams, not have a nuts goal difference by the end of the year, and and get enough points here and there. I think they'll be so good at Anfield. I think the Anfield crowd will help them be more stable at the back, and then they'll just outscore whoever they're versing.
Well, I've gone Chelsea, and just purely because I think that they'll have a really good year compared to last year, and they've done that similar thing what we were talking about before with Nottingham Forest. Like, they've brought in so many people last year, cleared it out, brought in a couple of good signings this year. And I've actually been surprised by their signings this year. It's been more of those $40, $50 million signings that are looking like, who would have thought they would have signed a Nicholas Jackson to lead their line?
But he's killing it. He's
a
baller.
I rate those type of signings though for them, because I think they went last year and it was Mudryk 100 million, this person 100 million. But yeah, I think they'll do well. But yeah, I'm not putting them above United.
I've got United fourth. I think it's a step in the right direction, like sort of you were saying, but it's not a clear, I'm stepping blindly. Is it going to land? Am I going to land or am I going to sink in the
water? That is the best way out there. That is really the description.
For me, I'm so on Liverpool, and I've since the end of last year, I've been so on Liverpool, and the signs are saying I'm even further on Liverpool. So
do you not think they could challenge for the title then?
United?
No, Liverpool.
Liverpool, I think, much closer to the title than people think. And I think United, there's a bit of a separation there. I think United will be good. I think it'll be interesting how the Champions League balances. I think with all these teams, the whole European balancing is so important. Liverpool got Europa League, which they could coast to with their fourth team, I reckon. Their depth is quality. They've all done it in Europe. United got Champions League football. What group they get drawn into? How much they have to put a strong team out?
And how much
do you like it, right?
This is something we can't predict is how much managers actually want to win the Champions League.
Yeah, and Eric has shown that he'll play no matter how tired you'll get played because Cup's mean something to him.
Yeah.
So I think not a second syndrome sort of, but I think it will be a bit of a let's just find our feet to get one more summer into us. I think Amrabat signing is bigger than Mount in the way that I think he'll end up playing that spot. I like Amrabat more sitting with Casemiro. And then a Mount.
But that's what it'll probably be when we play. It'll be it'll be another one of those things when we're playing the lower end teams.
I know
we're going to play Mount and Fernandes, and we'll play 2 10s.
Okay, I didn't mention anything. I just said it'll be a bigger point for us, Amrabat, rather than Mount.
Yeah.
I think Mount's a great signing. It seems like everyone in the UK loves the Mount signing. Everyone's on it. I think maybe a bit of British bias to it.
Because they know how good he's been. For Southgate.
I think it's not as good as they're making out to, but I don't think it's as bad as you're quite making it to be. I think him and Bruno can swing around.
I think it's pointless. Is why I look
but we have the capability to rotate it around.
What?
We have the capability to rotate it around. But I think we're not. I think we're better than Chelsea. Chelsea have to put it together.
Is that cooked now? Or?
No, we're good. Still here. But not as good as Liverpool because Liverpool have Klopp and they've done it, and there's the players there. That's why. So third place for you guys.
I've got Chelsea.
Chelsea.
I think we've explained it pretty much though because of our reasons.
The reason why I've got Chelsea
why Chelsea?
Because I think Chelsea is probably the boldest one to put third.
Yeah.
Is that I think the no Champions League is a massive factor.
Massive, yeah.
No Europe at all, right? And I just think that they underperformed so bad last year that they'll get some of that Stamford Bridge prestige back, and I think they have a solid direction with Pochettino, and I just think they'll be a lot better this year. And I mean, I still think there'll be a pretty big gap between one and two, but I just think they'll be the best of the rest.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's any chance, you've seen this so many times, Chelsea have finished bottom 10 and won the league?
Well, I don't think they'll win the league, but that's what I'm saying in the sense that I think, I wouldn't miss. No Europe is such a big factor.
They play 38 games out of 50.
No Europe is such a big factor. I mean, look, maybe it'll take longer to to gel it together than I think.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty strong on the fact that I think it's I think they had no egos really in their dressing room, which I think is a massive factor. Poch has a solid direction that he wants to take the club in. He always does when he goes to clubs, or at least with Spurs in that case. Yeah. And I just think that Chelsea will gel together pretty quick and get it going from the start and get some points.
I've got Liverpool third. I think like some of you, like Klopp's a mastermind. He'll get it done, right? He'll sort it out. The midfield, despite what everyone says, I think they'll score more than they concede. I think the defence probably need another centre back. So that's Van Dijk. Is Van Dijk good enough with Kanate to sort it all out? Maybe not. But if you got the midfield they're going to go with, it looks like it's going to be McAllister,
Do you think it's
Szoboszlai.
good enough defensively though?
Depends. I think that's what they've accepted. It's not going to be good enough defensively. We're just
So
going
you
to
think
outscore.
Thiago's going to be the deepest mid, or Thiago and McAllister?
Or
will roll
Lavia. If they
through
get
there?
Lavia didn't come on last night against
so
Southampton.
Lavia for me is a massive piece.
If they
in
get
puzzle.
that,
I think if they get
it changes
Lavia,
everything.
they're third.
But
But I was assuming, I wasn't sure where they are with that.
But Cecic is also a solid DM. He played solid against the Chelseas of the world. So he played against some
young'un.
solid team. Yeah, the young'un. I think he can do a job. Curtis Jones could do a job there if they have to. It's not the Casemiro, it's not the Rodgers, it's not your Rices. It's not going to blow the house down.
But
when you
I
got
don't think
Salah,
they need that though. I just think Lavia would help him out.
yeah,
a lot.
100%. But if you don't get him, you got those two guys there that can do it. But I think the front three outscores, other than City, I think every other front three. Salah, Gakpo, Jota, you can go Salah down the
You
middle.
can't play them all though.
But they're all there. Nunes can play. All these guys can play.
But my point is that do you think their best front three is better than like our front three?
No.
Our best, because our front three is so solid.
I think I love the Arsenal front, but I think it's a bit Liverpool's
So what do you
front
think
three
of
is
like
better.
Diaz?
I'd go
Nunes,
Diaz.
Salah, Szoboszlai.
Yeah, I would go. I'd go Nunes up front or Gakpo, and then go Salah and Diaz.
You have Jota. You got.
And I'm saying, imagine them coming on the 60th minute. Good luck
I
defending.
think
I
that just
agree,
confirmed
but
to
I just
me
think it's a little bit of a problem.
why I've put Liverpool where they have. Because I just don't think that you can finish third on the ladder by scoring more goals than you concede.
But that's the difference here. So
I think they
is
will.
that you think
I'm normally all on
you're
the-
going to take that to their advantage.
Yeah.
and you think that's going to be their downfall. Yeah, no, interesting.
Because
And I've kind of got to.
Because
I've got
Trent
to
could jump in at DM as well. Like you got that Bradley kid that we talked about. Like he plays right back, so he could jump in at right back.
It's funny. We
just
literally
saying,
all
when
agree,
you
we
have-
all agree on the same premise. It's just like
I was
way
going to
around.
say,
What
when
we
you've
value.
seen a good
what we
team,
value. I think they're going to be in the middle of that.
if Liverpool finish third, you'd say they're a good team this year, correct? I just don't know when you've seen a good team go and they're going to go concede. Because the way you're talking is like, and I agree, they're going to concede a few goals. Like, we're talking like they're not going to keep that many clean
Defense wins
sheets.
titles,
Yeah,
yeah.
defense wins it.
But they're not going to win a title. I'm saying they're going to be the best of the next.
But
best of the next.
The only
But we
thing
think
I
it's
agree
almost
with
gonna
you.
feel like the way it was when Liverpool and City were at the top there, where it was like, oh, it's almost like winning a title.
Yeah.
No, but what I agree with you, what you're saying is, and I agree in that aspect, when Liverpool go to United, they go to Arsenal, they go to Chelsea, it's going to be high scoring affairs and they'll win. But when they go to Burnley, or not Burnley because Burnley's not Burnley anymore, but when they go to Everton and they just park the bus and it's not about winning 3-2, I just don't.
But that plays more to because they've got midfield so you can carry the ball and play through the lines. You've got front three that's so incredibly quick and intricate and play smart there. The IQ of those front three players are incredible. That's goals. That's going to create you goals.
I just look at like United last year. Even though we conceded a lot, the
I
clean
think that-
sheets,
I reckon,
clean sheets. Are,
you know, but-
that's
but-
what made put us third last year.
Yeah, because we couldn't score a bloody thing. Liverpool going to score 3 or 4 plus most teams, I believe. Nunes is going to go nuts this year. Nunes is going to compete at the top.
I can't discredit your opinion. It's an opinion.
I
I've got a
think,
differing one.
I think Chelsea and Liverpool's team are head and shoulders above United's, and United's going to get there basically just on the squad being not much different from last year. That's the only reason.
I just think that, my opinion, that's the reason I've got United third is I think that Chelsea may have to make huge inroads to finish third, and that's why I put them fourth, which they will make huge, but I don't think they've got a better squad, in my opinion, than United.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool probably do have a better squad, but I just think that the signings they have and everything together in the defence is just it's not going to go well together.
You think defense wins premiership?
The 100% defense does win premiership. Does win championships.
Does it give
titles,
you, does it
whatever
win you
wanna
third
call
place
it.
though?
But I'm as big on Liverpool.
seriously though, seriously.
That
That's a
Liverpool
very
could
valid
finish
point.
as bad as they did last year.
Wait, what?
Liverpool could have as bad as a season as they did last year. That's how big I am on them.
Well, that's
It's going to be as bad as last year.
He thinks
Yeah.
they could be.
Oh.
Thinks they
I
could
think
be.
I think Liverpool could finish seventh.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
All right, 1-2.
So I
So
think
you're
two?
Arsenal
What
one.
are you- I've got
Arsenal too.
Arsenal win the league.
I got Arsenal 2 as well. So let's hear why Arsenal win the league. Let's just hear that point of view.
I just think like Pep, and I know he does it all the time. I think he's gonna have to defy the odds to reproduce remotely what they like close to what they did last year.
Never won 4 times in a row ever. Anyone
Like-
has ever done that.
Yeah, is that the stat?
That's no one's ever won
Yeah.
the Prem 4 times in a row.
And I think there's reasons. I think the proof is in the pudding, in the sense that to maintain like the motivation and like the discipline and like even the quality, because players age, like you lose some talent there. Especially when I feel like we're on the rise.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be so hard for City to
Keep up.
like maintain like the intrinsic motivation to
Yeah.
go again. And they've done it the last few years, like in around December, Jan.
Yeah.
It's like they flick this switch.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they can keep doing that for.
Yeah, no, fair.
And whereas for us, I think last year was a massive learning curve in the
It's
sense that
angered the team as well.
I mean, look, we have the Champions League now. Is that going to play a factor in our fatigue again? But we've improved where we sucked, whereas where I think you guys didn't have in this window. Well, we've improved where we fell off last year. No Party.
Yeah.
We got Rice. When Jesus was injured, no more Eddie. We got Havertz who can play that role now. Trossard and Jan has been
Big
a great
signing,
signing.
Jan, yeah.
Timber is so good for our team defensively.
The whole back line can cover that.
We're going to start the season fit, ideally. I think everyone's going to be fit. Tommy Ass is going to be back. El Nenny's going to be back. We got depth in there now, like a lot of depth.
Yeah.
And I just think that we're going to be so much more driven than City will be. And I think we've learned so much from last year from being in that position again that we'll be able to kick on this year and win the league. And I don't know if it's going to be comfortable, but I think we'll win it by. I think we'll win it before game week 38.
Fair enough.
Whereas City, I just think that. I still think City are going to be insane. Signing Vardy off for 90 million speaks for itself. They're showing intent again, but I just don't think that they're going to win the league this year. I just think I think they'll be clear of third, but not match us.
Yeah, I think City just, for me, I just think City they've just got it about and they've been there and done it. And like, I even reading it, even listening to you and then like going through I was thinking about it. I'm like, it makes so much sense for Arsenal to win it. They look ambitious. They look good in pre-season. They've got the team together.
But what's a bigger call, saying City or Arsenal's going to win?
I feel like just because it's just because City win it so much, it's bigger call saying Arsenal.
Yeah.
Win it.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying the
So
other way around.
I'm just being safe.
I still think City are definitely going to be favourites.
But in my mind, logically, it makes, for some reason, it makes sense that Arsenal should win it because no one wins it 4 times. Not even the great United team, the Chelsea teams of the past early 2000s.
It's also weird though. Like, I'm sure, I don't know what the stats are and like what the teams were back then, but it's like they've just signed basically the best player in the world. Like they've basically just signed him.
Yeah.
They didn't win those 3 leagues. They haven't won the last like 5 leagues out of 6 years with Haaland there.
No.
It's like, so
That's why
in
my
that
head.
sense, it's like they're gonna, if anyone's gonna defy it, they're just like restarting a new amazing team.
the new generation now.
But KDB is getting a little bit on. Like,
I don't know. The only thing I'm more worried about
teams
is
stop Haaland.
Well, the thing I'm more worried about is like the Mahrez and potential Bernardo Silva going. I think they're underrated. How big a loss. Like Mahrez is one of the best wingers this league the last 10 years.
They've also been
You
able to
lose
like
that.
literally.
But then he didn't play that much last year.
Yeah, but the impact. He is such a proper winger.
They're going to lose a couple. Yeah, they've lost maybe a
Well,
couple.
we don't know. I don't think
players
they
around
will lose Bernardo Silva. Yes,
No,
you're
but
right.
I'm saying Kovacic isn't going to be able to replace Gundogan's
Yeah,
goals.
Kovacic is not
They're
Gundogan.
going to lose a couple of goals here and there, but that's not that big of a deal because they're absolutely better teams.
Yeah.
But it's just
But
about
it's
like.
but it's if they
it's
do
about-
better teams now. Do they
Yeah,
go
it's
and
about.
win
It's also
4-0,
like when they get
5-0?
those goals. Like
Yeah.
Gundo popped up with some pretty important goals here and there.
Mr. May himself.
Mahrez definitely did. It's just like, look, I'd be way more concerned come like March or April, and let's say City aren't in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's a different story.
Like let's say they're losing the quarters of the season.
that's
I'd
a
be way more
different story.
concerned because like, I think that's when it'll kick in again. They'd be like, screw this. Like,
we're going to win this
nuts.
Prem. Yeah.
That's I'll be scared by then. But if it looks like they're going to go all out for that Champions League again, and they're going to rest players in the Prem for the Champions League, which they started doing at one point,
Yeah.
then I'll be a little bit more confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the thing of I just don't know how I couldn't put City
Yeah,
one.
it's sort of like, yes.
Yeah.
No matter what you go, you've put in people to cover your inefficiencies last year and stuff like that. City's still better than you in more positions than they're not.
So I'd probably say they aren't. I'd probably say they're not.
Really,
I
Radio silence.
think so. I think so.
I just don't see where. Like,
Probably not a debate for today, but like
Yeah.
you're going to say like Rice is better than according to our top 5 midfielders.
I
you reckon Rodri's better than Rice?
I think we have a better front three. So I think
Or not? You don't think Haaland's?
as in
across-
positionally.
Yeah.
I think we get 2 in there. So then I think we get Martinelli. I think we get Saka.
And you get one midfielder.
I think Grealish getting over Martinelli. I think.
You get one midfielder.
So I'll take Martinelli.
Yeah.
You get one midfielder.
Yeah, you get one. You get Odegaard in there.
I think we get two though.
According to your debate the other day, you literally put Rodri ahead of Rice.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm saying like.
So
No.
you're actually going against your own words.
I'm saying is in like I think this year it can be better than that. I don't think right now.
Oh, but that's hypothetical. I'm saying
but I'm saying
better right now.
If I'm doing like a realistic, unbiased review of history, right? I'm taking Rodri as the best AM in the league, but I think Rice and his impact on our team
could be bigger than Rodri's impact.
Can be so important kick us on. And I think by come the end of the year, I think we could be saying this is like my potential outlook on how the season could go.
Yeah,
I think we could be saying
100% could be right. Like people could have off years at City. They've been so good for so long.
And I also think defensively, I think we have a better left back because we have their left back. I think Zinchenko is better than both of their whoever plays there.
It depends. I think it can. It depends.
I think we have a better right back.
So you think if Cancelo finds form, you got Zinchenko is better than Cancelo?
I think Zinchenko is a better left back than Cancelo is as a left back.
A defending.
Well, when they're both at the club, who started?
I think Saliba is probably like in all honesty, I think Saliba can probably be the best centre back in the world this year.
But when they're both at the club, who started? Zinchenko or Cancelo?
That's a Pep thing, bro. Look, when Ake and Cancelo were both there, who started? Ake. Like Cancelo, you would have said at the time Cancelo's a better left back, but he started Ake and he sent Cancelo to Germany. My point is that I just think
they had a falling out. It's a completely different thing to them him being good or bad.
But how do you know Zinchenko just didn't fit into Pep's mastermind? Bro. My point is that I think so much of players' reputations is about what they've done in the past. I think Saliba, nearly all of their reputation is what they've done in the past, right? And you don't solidify yourself as a better player unless you produce it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think Rice hasn't had the chance because he's played it for West Ham, right? So it's impossible to say Rice is a better DM than Rodri. It is impossible to say that.
There's a bit of hypocrisy going on here, especially with what you said about Liverpool.
You said about Liverpool. What I'm saying is
everyone was bad last year, so you're going off what they did in the past to come back to what they were in the past this year.
Yeah.
So then you're going against that with City and Arsenal. You're going.
No, I'm saying because I think Arsenal's players are young. I don't think they've ever showed what their peak capability is, whereas Liverpool's have. And I think Liverpool's aren't old, they're not like washed old players. I think Trent is still young, but Trent can show what he did in his peak year for an entire season. I think this is what I'm saying I don't think Arsenal's players have convinced the world of what their best is yet.
But how do you know as well that Arsenal's players didn't just have an outstanding year last year?
I don't know that, but that's why I'm saying I think they can win the league because I think they can kick on because they're young. You look at all these players' trajectories; they've gone like this throughout their whole career. Yeah. What in my mind is telling me they're not going to go again? Everything they show me is that they're going to do it again.
Just a lot of players.
In my mind, we didn't win the league last year because we were inexperienced.
Yeah, but some of them what did we gain last year? But some of them won't. You're trying to say that every one of them.
So who's not going? I'm not saying everyone's going. I'm saying Saliba will because it was his first year in the Prem. He came in, he's top 3 centre back in the league, in my opinion. Right? He was also a team of the season centre back last year for most people. Right?
Yep.
His first league year in the Prem. Martinelli is like
I don't think
21.
You got a lot more problems in sense of
we lost our strike.
City could literally cop De Bruyne out for the rest of the year, and I'd still say
I wouldn't go that far.
No, but City could cop De Bruyne out for the whole season, even Haaland out, and they'd still have a chance of winning the league. You start losing Saliba or Saka and stuff, and I don't think
that's just because City's a juggernaut for so many years. I
just think what I said made sense. In the sense that
you're very.
I don't know how I was hypocritical at all. I was comparing players who are now, in their prime to their best, saying I think they can reproduce their best. Whereas I'm saying with Arsenal's young players who haven't had the chance to show their prime in their past, I think they're going to kick on again.
I agree with you in the sense that that Arsenal are going to be better than City. That's an opinion. I think that opinion is very valid. I didn't
say City are going to be shit.
No. I think that opinion is going to be very valid. I think that opinion is going to be very valid.
We're in part of saying that all of this is the exact same. So what Flynn's saying is what we've said all.
No, I don't think it's crazy.
I'm making a prediction on what they're going to do.
Me saying Benson from Burnley to have a great season this year because he dominated the championship is me just purely taking what last season and his trajectory is to now.
Yeah.
No,
and like
you're
looking
right.
at it as a player amongst the team.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I think that Arsenal is going to have a better year next year.
I don't think it's
as
blasphemy,
well.
though,
And I think
But I don't get how it's hypocritical though.
Yeah, I don't think it's that either.
What do you like? What do you think I'm saying is hypocritical?
I just think that you're going on about how City's players are going to have because
No, but if you listen to what I said, I didn't say.
Okay.
I said I think they're going to lack intrinsic motivation to kick on and flip the switch like they do every year.
No, you're not saying that. You're saying that like Rice, you think this year will have a better year than Rodri. But
I think he'd
have to have a lot better year than he did last year because then Rodri,
I think if we
unless
win
Rodri
the
has a
league,
worse year.
I think if we win the league, you're going to say the Premier League winning team
We'll have a better players.
is going to have the better DM than the team that came second. I think that's what you're going to say.
Yeah.
You're not going to say like. Who's going to sit here at the end of the year and say, "Oh, Arsenal in the league"? Well, no, people will do this, but they just love to hate on Arsenal and say that, "Oh, no, they won the league,"
but
Rodri's still better.
I just think it's hard to say because
Grealish is still better, and their centre backs like. My point is that I think if Arsenal win the league, and I'm basing my predictions of Arsenal win the league, that Rice will go down as the better DM this year than Rodri.
I just think that if you weren't an Arsenal fan like I wasn't a United fan, we both wouldn't put our teams as high as we did.
Obviously,
or you just be unbiased.
That's obvious.
Yeah, I think it's just that's why I'm making the comment.
But you also know United more than I know United, and I know Arsenal more than you know Arsenal.
Yeah,
so that is partly why we are biased because we see our players
too much.
But
I think we get blinded sometimes as well because we see them like we see.
So what do you want me to sit here and say? City going to win the league? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
No.
Like what am I supposed?
No, I'm not saying. I think it's a valid. I think it's a valid opinion for Arsenal to win the league. I just don't think it's a valid opinion that
I get your point.
You're saying that Arsenal would have more players in a combined starting 11 than City would.
But obviously,
be.
right now,
if we win the league,
yeah.
No, you didn't say
That's
that.
why I
said
said
that now. You said that now. You did not say that when we were talking about it 5-10 minutes ago.
But I said it last week that I think Rice is I think Rodri is better than Rice. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, that's what I started bringing in, and then you go, but that's if we win the league. And once you said if it's
because
win the
of
league,
course
I
it was
agree
off
with
winning
you.
the league.
Because he started the preface with saying
maybe
Arsenal win the
I
league.
phrased it wrong.
Okay,
my point
I
was
agree. If you win the league, then yes, you're right.
my point is that
The ceilings are higher for these guys.
If United win the league, United will have more players than City as well.
You said, well, obviously, but you didn't predict them to win the league.
No, but it's just obvious. That's the obvious stuff. But when you said that. When we brought in this comment, you didn't talk about.
Said,
but to put it,
what you said was that, like you said, you still think City's team is the combined team is comprised more of City players than Arsenal players, right? And I was trying to make a case that it was a bit of in the moment, it was a bit of like right now who gets in the team, and a little bit of like
looking ahead.
I was also thinking like. In that moment, I was also thinking, can Rice and Rodri be in the same team? And, I was kind of thinking about it. And I never really answered my question because I didn't even, if you check the video, I didn't say Rice is better than Rodri. I said that I literally didn't say anything. You were just I was kind of murmuring and you kind of jumped on that. And we're like, so how would you say that? Like,
fair enough. Okay.
I think to put it simply is that
I think it's close.
Yeah,
it's probably 5 and 6 to City.
but if you're right, but if Arsenal win the league, then they get the 6 players and Man City get the 5. But I think more to your point is the ceilings are higher for the Arsenal players this year due to what's going on, the momentum behind them, the growth, the development.
We
There's
haven't
more to reach.
seen their best.
Yeah.
It feels like we haven't seen them. Maybe we have,
but maybe not.
But I'm going to sit here and say we haven't because they're 21 years old.
And the average age.
Of course, I'm going to sit here and say they're inexperienced. They've never been in that position before. They're young. Of course, I'm going to say they have more potential to go higher.
Well, we think we've seen City. We've seen City win the treble.
Yeah,
we've seen
De
Bruyne be it and do it for 5 years now.
It feels more unlikely to see City improve again than it does Arsenal. Yeah. Because City, it feels like they've maximised what they can achieve.
4 or 5 years.
Maybe they can get better. Maybe they can do this 3 more years in a row. But it feels unlikely for that to happen.
And that makes
Whereas it feels more likely for Arsenal's players to get to that next level. And look, even if Arsenal's players jump to the next level and City stay the same, City will win the league because that's just the way it is. But I feel like if Arsenal's players jump, 10% better
and City drop 5,
that's it. I think Arsenal probably take over because they only won the league. It's the bits where I think we've improved so much in the areas where we lacked last year. I think we've improved 100% in those areas. In terms of experience, I think we've gone up 100 times. In terms of you know, in terms of deficiencies, we've covered the spots where it cost us points last year, and I think we'll see that pay dividends this year.
Well, fair enough.
Well,
What a way to end on.
I wish the camera was still working. That's made me really, really angry. So anyway, we've done our 2 hours. We're doing 2 hours. We don't
I should have said, I was about to punch Tots in the face. No.
If you've made it all the way, you know what?
No, goodness me.
Yeah, I reckon, no, there might be one person that said the 2 hours. Hopefully we'll clip this out, get some other stuff out there from it. But no, great episode.
Yeah.
Premier League season is around the corner now, so we're really excited for that. Obviously, yeah, Community Shield coming up tomorrow as well. Football season virtually among us.
Very exciting time to be a
Mondays, we'll get them out Mondays. We'll try and record and get them out Mondays. We'll do the reviews of a few of the games that come on the weekend. We'll talk the key talking points. That's the goal for the rest of the season. Once the equipment arrives, we'll try and get some live streams going for us, watching some big Saturday night games. We'll get that going as well. So for the channel, big time. For football, big time. So really, really excited for that. If you have sticked around, please like, subscribe, all those good things. And we'll see you guys in another video very soon, eh? Perfect.